You're welcome to stay, or you can leave now. Thank you. You may now be seated. Before we begin, I would like to remind you, everyone, that this meeting will be live streamed on YouTube. A recording uploaded after the meeting as well. I will presume everyone consent to this, but if you don't, please leave the meeting now. There might be members attending virtually. Are there any? So I will now move the first item of the business. Apologies for absence and attendance.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Received apologies for absence from councillors Basutil, Mataza, Mahfouz and Zizamas.
Thank you. Is there any councillors joining us remotely?
No, Madam Mayor. Thank you.
Item 2, declaration of interest. Microphone? Can you put microphone on?
Sorry, I'll start again. Madam Mayor and councillors, I wish to speak on item 11 of the council plan, and as I was active in the Save Ealing Children's Centres campaign, I wish to declare a non-pecuniary interest.
Thank you, Councillor Busby. Next item, minutes of the meeting held on the 26th of May. Are the minutes of the meeting held on 26th of May agreed as correct record of proceedings? Thank you. Next item, Mayor's announcement. It has been a very busy month. My first month as being a mayor. Before I start, I'd like to announce to the members, it's with great sadness that I inform you the council of the passing of former councillor and a past mayor, Julia Clements Elliott, aged 86. Julia passed away peacefully on 4th of May 2026 in her sleep following a short illness. She served this borough with great commitment and distinction, and she will be deeply missed by her family, friends, and all those who have privilege working with her. I too had the privilege of meeting her my second year of being a councillor in 2023. I would like to invite Councillor Yvonne Johnson to say a few words. Councillor Yvonne Jones.
Julia Elliott was a very respected colleague of many of us present here today. And she was in the council for, I think, more than 30 years, 34 to be precise. And he undertook a number of responsibilities going back to the 80s when she was chair of the Under 5s committee. She was also chair of schools committee, and she was mayor of the borough too. She was a councillor from a number of wards in North Ealing and Southall. She was first elected from Southall, the then Wexlow ward, as it was called then. And at the end of her term, she was awarded the borough's highest honor, Free Woman of the Borough, when she retired from council service. She was married to Michael Elliott, another distinguished resident of the borough, who was not only a councillor for more than a quarter of a century, but also a member of European Parliament for 15 years, and mayor also. So a distinguished political couple. Together they gave many, many years of service to the borough. And Julie I was able to, with my wife Harbhajan, able to attend her funeral some weeks ago, which was very well attended. And so we mourn for Julie's loss, and may God grant her peace to her soul. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Councillor Dee. Councillor Oxley from Liberal.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I was so sad to hear the passing of Mayor Julia Clements-Elliott. I had the unexpected pleasure of working with Julia when I was first elected as councillor for the Elthorne ward in 2006. Another mayor, Mayor Livingston, dreamed of a tram down the Uxbridge Road, but voters in Elthorne and elsewhere had other ideas, and a swathe of councillors were voted out. Of course, Julia, who topped the previous poll in 2002, survived this trauma and found herself in a split ward with myself and Councillor Amit Kapoor. It would be an understatement to say that Amit and I were surprised to be elected. However, I recall that Julia took this unexpected turn of events with tremendous good grace and humour. Split wards can be awkward, as some members are about to discover. But there was no awkwardness with Julia, who was at all times courteous and kind and courteous, whilst also being honest and frank about her opinions. I saw Julia working tirelessly for Elthorne and working constructively and collaboratively alongside her fellow councillors from other parties. I can still see her now because Julia, if those of you know her, always took great care with her appearance, and she was always immaculately dressed. So much so that ahead of ward forums, I had to remind myself to smarten up. In short, Julia was a fantastic councillor and mayor, providing 30 years of public service who will be sorely missed. My very best wishes to her friends and family, who I know will be grieving her loss.
Yep.
Councillor Gallant.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Great sadness we heard of Julia Clements-Elliott's passing. I didn't know her, but my older colleagues certainly knew her very, very well. She came onto the council in 1971 and on the council for 30 years, mayor 1997 to 1998. She was Tony Benn's secretary, and Hilary Benn was at her funeral, which is a real mark of honour. She was, as I understand it, and I sort of hear these vibrations, a formidable opponent in debate, a marvellous local councillor with a particular interest in education and housing. She loved her children and grandchildren. She loved her Great Danes. This was a strong and generous character. I really wished I got to know her.
Councillor Wellesby.
Madam Mayor, councillors, on behalf of the Green Group, I wish to acknowledge the passing of former councillor Julia Clements-Elliott. We, as new councillors, never got to meet her, but we're hearing wonderful things about her, and it would have been a pleasure to have worked with her. She served as a councillor for Ealing for many, many years, and as mayor, and we send our sincere condolences to her family, friends, and former colleagues. Thank you.
Thank you. I will now go through the past, this month, coverings that I have made as a mayor. It's been quite a busy month, my first month as a mayor. I have attended quite numerous events, including the Eat in the Park Festival with our North Foundation, Southall Future Tech Exhibition, the new opening of shops in Green Quarter. I've also did the Citizenship Day at St Benedict's Junior School. I've attended the Ealing Choral Society concert. I've attended as part of the Refugee Week, the ACCA Refugee Week Summer Festival. I've also been to the West Ealing Community Grocery pre-launch event. Also, I've been to the Mandir and the Community Centre in of the anniversary Shara Jaralamam. I've also attended the Aisha Raza commemoration service at the Holy Cross Church in Greenford. I've also celebrated with Ealing employees the LGBTQ+ Pride celebration Towards the end of this month, I've also attended the Streets Festival in Green Quarter. I've attended the CBE Year of High Sheriff Greater London. I've attended the Edward Betham Primary School Summer Fair and the Armed Forces Day celebration. And finally, Sunday, I attended the annual St. Peter Festival and Civic Centre, which was an amazing event. Item 5 of the agenda, petition from members of the council. Are there any petitions from the members of the council?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. One petition.
Councillor Gallant and Councillor Malcolm, can you give us a quick overview what the petition is about for each of your areas?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. The petition I handed in related to residents of Clovelly Road in Southfield. They're having parking difficulties and they're requesting the council look at their conditions to make it easier for them to park.
Thank you. Councillor Gallant?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Yes, this is a petition is entitled Care of Cleveland Park. It's been signed by over 100 people from across the borough, and it is specifically about littering in Cleveland Park and provision of better bins, bigger bins, and better measures to prevent litter being strewn by foxes and by people of malign intent.
Thank you. Question from members of the public. We have 5 questions from members of the public tonight. Seb Wallace wished to ask a question to Councillor Moffitt, Cabinet Member for Climate Action. Mr. Wallace, could you ask your question, please?
Thank you very much. What will the council do to recognise the severe newly in place burden on the Notting Hill and Ealing High School streets programme that basically for working parents, many commuting long distances to a non-catchment area school, there are no alternative travel arrangements but driving for many of our young children?
Thank you very much, Madam Mayor, and thank you, Mr. Wallace, for your coming here to talk about this important issue. School streets promote healthy physical activity. They reduce congestion around school entrances, and most importantly, they make it safer for children to enter their schools. For families that are unable to take active travel options or to walk from home, we encourage them to park no more than a 10-minute walk from the school and complete their journey on foot, which will also help to improve air quality and reduce traffic in the area. In this instance, for example, where a family might need to commute a longer distance to reach a school within a school street, they're encouraged to park and stride, where they park their cars a short distance from the school and walk the remaining distance. In this instance specifically, a team has been out to measure the distance, and to walk to the school street of Notting Hill and Ealing High and Junior School, and nearly all of those locations are under a 10-minute walk. Thank you.
Mr. Wallace, do you have a supplementary question?
Yes. Thank you, Councillor Moffat. Much of that I'm sure I could have read on a website. Really, I think it's not just about the parents. Many people bought their houses next to the school with caveat emptor that the school was there and that people park there. Because of the need to drive for many parents, that driving has been displaced, as you say, to 5 to 10 minutes away from the school. And now the school and and in consequence us, have received complaints from those residents. So there are knock-on effects of that change to where we can park. And the reality is that...
Mr. Wallace, do you have a question?
Yeah, the question is just, will this be reconsidered? Because in non-catchment area schools, there are material adverse effects for people beyond just us.
Thank you very much, Mr. Wallace. Ealing Labour and Ealing Council are part of our School Streets programme, supports 50 schools to have safe and healthy access to those schools. Children growing up with cleaner air have healthier lungs, they develop better, and we are proud, frankly, and the public of Ealing voted for this in both the 22 elections, where we were very clear in our manifesto about the promise, and again in this election. We're going to continue cleaning up the air in Ealing, making it safer for children, and I think we stand by that. Thank you.
The next question is being submitted by Richard Taylor. Mr. Taylor couldn't make it tonight, so he will be provided with a written response to the question. The next question is from Angela Fonso, wish to ask a question of Councillor Lauren Wall, Cabinet Member for Thriving Communities. Ms. Fonso, could you ask your question, please?
Good evening, Madam Mayor. Good evening, councillors. My question for Councillor Lauren Wall is, will the cricket wickets and multi-use games areas, Moogers, at Southall Recreation Ground be refurbished before the start of the summer holiday to ensure that they are safe for use by children?
Thank you, Madam Mayor, and thank you, Ms Fonso, for your question regarding Southall Recreation Ground. The Council has been to the recreation ground to inspect the works required. Unfortunately, the areas have been subject to vandalism and over wear and tear, and this has resulted in a poor state of particularly the cricket wicket. So we've arranged for patch repairs for the wicket, which will ensure that this will be usable for the school holidays. And I'm sorry to hear that there was an accident on the site. We've not had any further incidents or accidents reported regarding it, but as and when we are notified, we always go and initiate checks and respond to any repairs. The Leisure and Culture team have recently had a change of personnel. We have a new Assistant Director for Leisure and Culture and a new Head of Parks and Open Spaces, and we'll all be closely monitoring this site and will explore funding options for more improvements. Thank you.
Ms. Fonso, do you have a supplementary question? Yeah.
Is it possible to mitigate the risk of children falling over the low fences and hitting their heads on the spectators' backrests by removing the backrests? Because it was a very serious head injury that happened to the young boy. He ended up in hospital. A serious head injury meant that he was admitted to St Mary's Hospital, which is a major trauma unit in London.
Thank you, Ms Fonso, and I do appreciate your concern. We also share that concern. With regard to the safety aspects of the site, it was last inspected in February with ROSPA, who agreed that it was safe, and we also carry out monthly checks. We've identified some small minor repairs and we're getting those attended to now, but one accident is one more than we would hope. So I have asked the officers to look again at the specifics of that, particularly looking at the fencing and the proximity of it to the spectator backrests, and we will look at the whole safety of that issue and do anything we need to, including removal of the backrest if we need to. Thank you.
Next question is from Renee Pierre. You wish to ask a question to Councillor Moffat, Cabinet Member for Climate Action. Ms Pierre, could you ask your question, please?
Good afternoon. With Ealing being so allegedly proud of its cleaner air, when will the works by the water company and the gas company by the B56 Tigmouth Gardens, both ways at Horsenden Lane, finally be completed? The continued works are causing misery to nearby residents, including those who live in Medway Village and have people that have to leave the school and have work commitments.
Thank you, Madam Mayor, and thank you very much, Mr. Pierre. I'm very sorry to hear about the trouble that you're having with those roadworks. I can confirm that water-related works took place from the 11th to the 13th of June. Those were emergency works required to replace a defective manhole frame and cover. They were completed using temporary traffic signals, which unfortunately can lead to some congestion. Over the last 3 months, including this work, there have been 3 sets of waterworks at that location in and around Teignmouth Gardens, with the longest taking place over 4 days and the other 2 taking place over 3 days. We absolutely appreciate that roadworks can cause a lot of disruption for residents, and so Ealing Council is proposing, in order to address this disruption, that to bring in a lane rental scheme to incentivise quicker and more efficiently timed roadworks on key parts of our road network. This will build on our existing permit scheme, and this approach aligns with the Pan-London framework and supports wider objectives such as tackling congestion, improving air quality and promoting sustainable transport. Earlier this year, in January and February, we carried out a 4-week consultation to ensure that a range of stakeholders were asked about whether that worked for them, including the public, utility companies and Transport for London. Key issues raised included charging arrangements, infrastructure categorisation, exemptions, collaborative working and the use of scheme revenues. With this, we aim to minimise the disruption that you and other residents would face with works like this. What I think is really important to note is that roadworks carried out under emergency, under a kind of emergency heading, are not something that we have to approve. The utility companies have a right to undertake those emergency works, but the lane rental scheme will seek to minimise the disruption that that causes. Thank you.
Mr. Pierre, do you have a supplementary question?
I do. With works are getting announced to take place in a few weeks at the same location, what assurances do we have that the gas and assurance and water companies will finally complete the work without returning in a matter of months' time, causing more congestion and air pollution?
Thank you. Much of our infrastructure network under the road is more than a century old, and often emergencies can occur at the absolute, in a moment that we cannot expect, and so the utility companies just have to come and fix something that has broken. These emergency roadworks take place under the utility company's auspices. They happen because that's the right, and it's important that they ensure water is still supplied to all of the houses that are connected to those water pipes. We don't know when we will be able to introduce our lane rental scheme because of a legislative change due to moving responsibility for it in some places to mayoral authorities, but we will continue to push and continue to ensure that residents are avoid disruption as much as possible where Ealing Council can stop it. Thank you.
Next question is from Harpreet Nawal. Question is to Councillor Paul Driscoll, Cabinet Member for Healthy Equal Lives. Mr. Nawal, could you ask your question, please?
Thank you very much. Good evening. What justification does the Cabinet Member offer for approving Rise's relocation to Southall in the absence of resident consultation and in the face of escalating drug use, aggressive begging and intimidation in the affected areas?
Thank you, Mr. Nowell. I appreciate you coming here to raise an important subject. So the concerns raised by residents about antisocial behaviour, intimidation and criminal behaviour are recognised and need to be addressed. The Council's Safer Communities Service and councillors have called for an increased police presence. I will detail a set of actions that have already commenced. It should be noted that there is a legal requirement upon councils to provide adequate drug and alcohol treatment recovery services. The council commissioned the Drug and Alcohol Treatment Service for Adults, which is known as RISE. RISE supports individuals in reducing and stopping substance abuse, providing tailored treatment plans and ongoing recovery assistance. This work helps individuals to reintegrate into society, lead healthier lives and make a positive change. RISE also offers guidance and support for families and carers of those affected by drug and alcohol. Most clients are referred through GPs, hospitals and social care teams, and many also seek voluntary support and taking positive steps to improve their well-being. The users of RISE want to make a meaningful and positive change to their lives. RISE has operated in Southall for 13 years with 3 long-standing locations, and the new site expands capacity to better meet local need. RISE provides services across the whole of the borough. RISE and other providers deliver services from almost 30 sites across the borough, including the towns of Acton, Ealing, Greenford, Hanwell and Northolt. Acton and Southall have a similar number of locations. The location of RISE addresses the need for support services. The need for drug and alcohol services in Southall predates the opening of the new facility, which is clearly shown by the long and history of local drug and alcohol recovery services provision in Southall. The location of the services in response to local need. It is important to be clear that services users in RISE are people engaged in treatment and recovery. These are people wanting to make a positive change to their lives. The described behaviours are criminal matters which the police and council are addressing proactively and responsively. It is important not to draw a false link between crime and antisocial behaviour in Southall and people accessing drug and alcohol treatment. A stable, well-designed drug and alcohol treatment service in Southall is part of a coordinated local response. RISE works closely with the council, NHS and police, who recognise the role of RISE in supporting recovery and reducing wider harms, including antisocial behaviour. Both the council and the police are acting to respond to concerns that have been raised with the following actions. Tackling antisocial behaviour in the area is already a local police priority in the Southall Broadway ward. There have already been increased patrols by the police. The Metropolitan Police have already deployed the Tactical Support Group, which is a significant additional resource. The police will coordinate their patrols with the Council Park Guard Service to maximise coverage in the area. Additional CCTV will be added to the existing network of CCTV cameras. There will be proactive CCTV monitoring, specifically looking at suspicious behaviour and alerting the police to any activity that is causing concern. In addition to taking enforcement action, patrols will also gather intelligence on the nature and extent of the problem and the individuals involved. The intelligence will be crucial to understand if the groups undertaking antisocial and criminal behaviour are local to the area, have been displaced from elsewhere, are new to the area, and if they are known to RISE. We should also not lose sight that the council has offered to meet that RISE offers essential to meeting local need and support individuals who want to make a positive change to their lives. The council has a clear commitment to invest in additional CCTV cameras already, a uniformed on-street presence, and we'll be pressing hard for a town centre police team for Southall. Thank you.
Mr. Nawal, do you have a supplementary question?
Well, thank you for that comprehensive answer. But who specifically signed off the relocation without resident consultation? What advice did they rely on at the time?
So that would go through the procurement process and the agreement process in the council. That went through cabinet as well. So it went through that process. So we'd look at those documents for all those agreements. So RISE has been in Southall for a long time, is well established, has 3 locations very proximate to Town Hall location. So it's well established and not a new service in the area at all. So it is well thought out about how it was going to be installed there, what was going to happen, what services are provided there. So it would have gone through the cabinet process.
Next item on the agenda. I have received an urgent question from Councillor Galland to Councillor Murphy. Councillor Galland, can you ask your question, please?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Given the experienced and expected heat this summer, and in fact next week, will the portfolio holder ensure that a public supply of high quality drinking water is restored in Walpole and Lammas parks?
Thank you very much, Councillor Gallant. And as you say, this hot weather has absolutely driven the need for more water to the forefront of our minds. We are delighted to provide a water fountain as Ealing Council in Lammas Park, and it is working. I'm not an engineer, so I can't promise exactly why, but apparently the pressure's a little low at the moment, but somebody who does know why is going to look at it and going to make sure it's working at top pressure. Regarding the water fountain outside Walpole Park, that is a Thames water fountain. There is a problem with that, they're aware of it, and there is a sign up telling you that they're going to be fixing it, testing it, and making sure it works incredibly well. We have our own park rangers out there checking the sites, reporting any issues with this hot weather to ensure that there is a healthy supply of fresh drinking water. One of the things that we as a council have done to ensure that this hot weather protects Ealing residents is in the last administration we planted 50,000 trees to ensure tree cover across the borough, something we're very proud of and something I'll be talking about later on. Thank you.
Councillor Clant, do you have a supplementary question?
No, Madam Mayor, that's fine. Thank you very much.
So we now go through the order of question. Councillor Oxley to Councillor Wright.
Thank you. Thank you, Madam Mayor. According to this month's Cabinet papers, the Labour administration's investment in Broadway Living resulted in a loss to council taxpayers of £6.55 million. But the loss is significantly higher, around £15 million, if the council uses the valuation of Broadway Living provided to the administration by the auditing firm Grant Thornton. Why is the administration using its own valuation rather than Grant Thornton's?
Thank you for your question, Councillor Oxley. The calculations used were from valuations in March 2025 by Grant Thornton. The paper presented on the 10th of June was over 1 year on from the original valuations. The council commissioned additional valuers to undertake and update the market valuations for inclusions in the reports. These revisions reflect both the increases in asset values driven by house prices rising and also the inclusion of properties that have since reached full completion.
Thank you. I have to say, it beggars...
Hang on.
Oh, sorry. I do apologise, Madam Mayor.
To ask the question, does anyone have a supplementary question?
I do. Apologies once again. I think it beggars, my suspicion is that the council ignores its expert advice because it makes the losses at Broadway Living look lower. Now, our Labour council appointed the now bankrupt Henry Construction to be the build partner for Broadway Living. Given legal claims of £31 million being brought against the Henry family, including the outrageous £10 million dividend paid to the grandmother, Elizabeth Henry, 2 weeks before Henry Construction failed, what steps are the council taking to recover taxpayer losses at Broadway Living from the Henry family?
Councillor Brett?
Thank you, thank you for the question. I mean, I'd like to say that Henry Construction are not exclusive to Ealing Council in terms of them going bust. It has been across the board and many suppliers have been affected by them. We, as a council, way back, did what we thought was due diligence on them, and they were a viable company at the time of us appointing them as our key partner. There are several reasons why this has happened, mainly in terms of the market conditions, Brexit, the war in Ukraine, the Trust government, all of those things have played a massive factor in the demise of Henry Construction. And, Ealing is robust and we will try and get our money back. But, the construction industry has failed, and it's not just affecting Ealing, it's affected London councils and the country more widely. Thank you.
Next question from Councillor Baines to Councillor Kamajil-Kaur-Nakbar.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Can the portfolio holder update us on what the council is doing to support young people who are not in education, employment or training? Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Baines, for your question. We know that too many young people across the country are not in education, employment or training. It's a challenge that's being faced by every part of the UK and one that London is feeling particularly acutely. Here in Ealing, our latest data shows that 1.2% of 16 and 17-year-olds are currently not in education, employment or training. This is below the West London average of 1.5%, and that's encouraging and reflects the work that we've already done. Every young person deserves the opportunity to fulfil their potential, and we are determined to drive that percentage figure down even further. And that's why back in 2023, we led the development of our 5-year Ealing Jobs and Skills strategy, working in partnership with the GLA, local businesses, local colleges and universities. Supporting young people into inclusive pathways to employment sits at the very heart of that strategy, aligning our local ambitions here in Ealing with both the London Growth Plan and the London Inclusive Talent Strategy. Ahead of the Alan Milburn Review into the National NEETs Challenge, we had already launched 2 pioneering programmes here in Ealing. The Ealing Borough Apprenticeship Scheme, building on the success of our long-established council apprenticeship programme, and the Ealing Work Experience programme, which is delivered in partnership with 8 local high schools, which has already provided around 1,800 Year 10 students with valuable work experience. Building on that strong foundation, we're now working with our partners to develop a borough-wide NEET reduction and prevention plan, because our ambition is simple: to ensure that every young person in Ealing has the opportunity to gain the valuable skills, experience and confidence that they need to succeed.
Does anyone have a supplementary question? Councillor Whelan?
How successful has the council's work experience programme been in its first year?
Thank you, Councillor Whelan, for your question. Our pioneering work experience programme was set up as a pilot in its first year and is still ongoing, with the 8th and final high school, Villiers High School, commencing their experience on the 6th of July. And considering it's been a pilot, the programme has been very successful in supporting young people to gain experience across the borough and across a wide range of sectors, as well as enabling the development of new and positive relationships between the council, high schools and the business community. One student who had experienced homelessness for 2 years and is now in foster care was placed with an employer in the creative industry. Despite significant personal challenges, the student quickly demonstrated their enthusiasm, commitment and strong creative ability. By just the second day of their placement, the employer was so impressed that they offered the student a part-time job. This opportunity has been a major turning point, providing stability, confidence and a clear pathway into employment and further development for this young person. Another example is a student from a disadvantaged background who completed their work experience with the council's legal team, where they were able to be introduced to a variety of roles and see pathways within the profession. Following this, the student took part in a series of political, legal and empowerment workshops, including a mock trial delivered by a well-known barrister and author. The experience not only provided them with direct exposure to the legal profession, but significantly raised their aspirations, and as a result, they have expressed a clear ambition to pursue a career in law, demonstrating the programme's impact in broadening horizons and creating tangible pathways into professional careers. Finally, a student who was at risk of exclusion from school and with a history of behavioural issues got to experience work experience at a local clinic and later completed the proper project workshops. The experience helped them to build confidence and engage in a practical learning environment, and as a result, they secured a volunteering placement at that clinic, marking a significant shift from disengagement to active participation and contribution. So I'm delighted to say that there are many more great results and outcomes, too many to share briefly now. We will be evaluating the impact over the coming months before deciding together with schools and delivery partners on how it might transition from a pilot to a legacy programme. Thank you.
Thank you. Councillor Hanrahan to Councillor Brett.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. On what date did Broadway Living first report financial difficulty to its board or to the council?
Thank you for your question, Councillor Hanrahan. There was no one date at which Broadway Living first reported financial difficulties. Challenges built up over a period of time as market conditions changed significantly, and these issues were regularly discussed and monitored through the company boards. As people would have heard when I brought the report to the Cabinet briefing on the 10th of June, these companies were established in 2014 even, and it was a very, very different economic backdrop. Since then, a combination of factors such as Brexit, COVID, as I've said, rising inflation, increased interest rates, and the impact from the war in Ukraine have all driven up construction costs and affected viability across the sector. The key issue was insolvency of Broadway Living's main contractor, Henry, in 2023, which created further pressure on delivery and costs. The boards of Broadway Living and Broadway Living RP, alongside the council, commissioned detailed independent reviews in 2024 and 2025. These included work by Campbell Tickell and Grant Thornton, who carried out thorough diligence across all sites to assess viability and provide recommendations. This approach ensured decisions were made based on full and robust understanding of the financial position and changing market conditions, which have affected the council and housing delivery nationally, not just in Ealing.
Does anyone have a supplementary question?
Yes, I do, Madam Mayor. Why was the plan to wind up Ealing Broadway Living not made known until after the 2026 council election?
As I've just mentioned, we needed to take a full and robust review, which is why we used our contractors, Campbell Tickell and Grant Thornton. It would have been really irresponsible for the council to not take into consideration all of these reports before making a thorough decision on the future of the companies. Thank you.
Councillor Mahmood to Councillor Jasbir Anand.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Can the portfolio holder outline how the council plan or the new council plan will help to efforts increase community safety?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Thank you, Councillor Mahmood, for your question. This council plan is clear in its mission to tackle crime and antisocial behaviour while addressing the underlying causes that can lead to offending. Ealing remains one of London's safer boroughs with crime levels below the London average, and strong partnership working is already in place. However, we know that what matters most is not just the statistics, but how safe our residents feel in their neighbourhoods. Our focus is on ensuring every community feels safe, supported and confident that action is being taken. We are delivering this through practical measures. We are increasing our visible presence on the streets with a new unified enforcement team, strengthening our response to antisocial behaviour, and continue to work closely with the Metropolitan Police to secure a stronger neighbourhood policing presence. Alongside enforcement, we're investing in prevention by expanding our CCTV network with 50 additional deployable cameras, renewing community gating schemes, and improving public spaces to make them safer and more welcoming. We also remain committed to tackling violence against women and girls, addressing hate crime, and working with partners to prevent young people from becoming involved in crime. We are already seeing positive results. Recent data from the Mayor's Office for Policing and Crime shows increasing public confidence, with more residents say they feel safe in their local area, believe antisocial behaviour is reducing, and have confidence that agencies are taking action. There is always more to do, but this council plan sets out a clear commitment to making Ealing an even safer borough for everyone.
Does anyone have a supplementary question?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Can the portfolio holder outline how they plan to reduce youth violence in the borough?
Thank you, Councillor Cordia. We are taking a targeted partnership-led approach to reduce youth violence, focused on prevention, early intervention, and keeping young people out of criminal justice system. Madam Mayor, we're investing in hyperlocal programs through the Mayor's Violence Reduction Unit, alongside expanded after-school provision, outreach, and school-based support. The program has supported expanding the after-school offer in areas where it is most needed and has included some great events, including young people hosting their own stage at our Summer New Gen Festival in Walpole Park. This approach is delivering results. Knife crime involving under 25s has fallen by over 17% in the last year. 3 times the London rate. Robbery has reduced by 21%. We are building on that progress by strengthening prevention pathways and tailoring support to the communities where it's most needed, ensuring more young people are kept safe and supported. Thank you, Madam Mayor.
Thank you. Councillor Sanders to Councillor Donnelly.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Given the huge number of ombudsman reports found against Ealing Council, what is the council doing to ensure that people who have serious grievances get them assessed and sorted if there is a need for the ombudsman? Thank you.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Thank you, Councillor Sanders, and welcome to the Chamber. The priority of the administration is to deliver high-quality services. We know that the majority of ombudsman complaints usually relate to housing repairs. So in housing, we're taking action on multiple fronts to ensure that residents first don't have occasion to make complaints, and that then if and when something does go wrong, we resolve it at the earliest opportunity. To that end, we're introducing a repairs diagnostic centre, which will ensure we diagnose and fix repairs first time more often. We've made big improvements to other service areas, including dealing with damp and mould, to ensure we're compliant with our WARB's law and are protecting our tenants. Like every council, we acknowledge that sometimes we will get it wrong. The number of complaints to the Ombudsman and the proportion of complaints upheld stand comparison with neighbouring boroughs, but we're not complacent about that, and it's a priority that we learn from every complaint, whether upheld or not. Our internal complaint service has already improved and continues to do so, with upskilled officers and better processes. We've improved the timeliness of our responses and are focused on ensuring we understand the root causes of complaints and use them as vital intelligence to allow us further to improve our services. We would expect the work we are doing will, over time, reduce not only the number of complaints to the Ombudsman, but formal complaints in general.
Does anyone have a supplementary question?
Yes, please.
Councillor Sanders?
You mentioned time limit. I think the issue that has been raised in some of these reports, can you just outline the time from a complaint being received to response going to the complainant, and then when is a full report gone back to that complainant saying what the full written response is? Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Sanders. We have I always like to put it, there are small C complaints and big C complaints. Correspondence that council officers receive on a regular basis, we might, in the normal course of events, call a complaint because something might not have been done or might not have been done in a way that a resident feels it should have been done. But there are also big C complaints, those that fall within the statutory processes. We have a standard whereby a resident who raises a complaint under our formal processes should receive a response within 10 working days at stage 1. If they escalate it to stage 2, they should receive, which requires an investigation of the first investigation, they should receive a formal response within 20 working days. Now, we don't always meet that, and it's part of the process that we're trying to improve to ensure that we do, because residents deserve a full and timely response. And not only that, we will make better progress at improving the services the faster and more thoroughly we investigate the complaints that do come through.
Councillor D. Martin to Councillor Hamidi.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Can the Cabinet member set out how the new council plan will help increase the supply of genuinely affordable homes, whilst ensuring that regeneration delivers real benefits for existing residents?
Thank you, Madam Mayor, and thank you, Councillor Martin, for your question. The new council plan is clear that increasing the supply of genuinely affordable homes is one of our key priorities. At the same time, we want to make sure that growth delivers real benefits for existing communities across all 7 of our towns. The same approach sits at the heart of our emerging local plan, which we hope to adopt later this year. To support this, we've developed a clear and deliverable affordable homes investment plan. This sets out a 15-year program for council-owned sites, identifying what can realistically be delivered. Overall, it has the potential to provide more than 3,000 new homes, including nearly 2,000 genuinely affordable homes, with around 800 homes planned in the first phase. We're also taking a practical approach to measuring progress. Rather than focusing on a single headline figure, we're tracking delivery at every stage. That includes the number of schemes starting on site, the number of homes completed, and how projects are progressing through key milestones, such as funding, planning approval, and procurement. This gives us a much clearer picture of how we're moving projects from concept through to completion. Just as importantly, the council plan makes clear that regeneration must benefit the people who already live here. That's why we've developed our community-led regeneration charter in partnership with local communities. It sets clear expectations around engagement, transparency, and accountability, ensuring residents have a genuine opportunity to shape regeneration in their area. The charter also helps make sure that the voices of underrepresented groups are heard, and that investment reflects local priorities and delivers lasting benefits for our communities. So our approach is about more than simply building homes. It's about increasing the supply of genuinely affordable housing while delivering regeneration that is inclusive, community-led, and focused on improving outcomes for local people. Thank you.
Does anyone have a supplementary question? Councillor Rice?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. May I ask, please, how will the council balance the need to accelerate delivery with ensuring that developments are well designed and meet the long-term needs of local communities? Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Rice, for your question. The council plan is clear that we need to deliver more homes, but not at the expense of quality or the long-term needs of our residents. The important point is that we don't see speed and quality as competing priorities. Through our Affordable Homes Investment Plan, we're taking a phased and prioritized approach, focusing first on sites that are ready to move forward, while making sure more complex sites are properly planned before development begins. At the same time, we're placing an even greater emphasis on good design and placemaking. That means embedding high-quality urban design across the council, building on the excellent work of our urban design team, making full use of design review panels, and working closely with developers from the outset so expectations are clear. Our aim is simple: to ensure new homes are well-designed, inclusive, sustainable, and make a positive contribution to our neighbourhoods for years to come. Alongside the community-led regeneration charter, our connected communities approach ensures that local knowledge and lived experience are at the heart of decision-making, so development reflects the needs and priorities of the people who already live here. Taken together, these measures allow us to deliver homes more quickly while ensuring we create high-quality places that serve our communities well, both now and in the future. Thank you.
Councillor Haley to Councillor Lauren Wall.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Can the Cabinet Member provide an update on the works at Wesley Playing Fields?
Thank you. Thank you, Councillor Haley, for the question. So construction works for the major improvements at Wesley Playing Fields started week commencing the 18th of May. Works include improvements to the children's playground, a new youth social and activity space, new outdoor gym equipment, improvements to footpaths, entrances and drainage, and new planting to support biodiversity. These improvements have been identified and designs developed with local residents over the last 2 years. The work is being delivered by a specialist parks and playground contractor, Blakedown Landscape SE Limited, who have excellent experience of delivering construction work in sensitive public park sites. And the work should complete this summer, and in particular, we are aiming to get the children's playground open and running in time for the summer school holidays.
Does anyone have a supplementary question?
Yes.
Councillor Douglas.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Can the Cabinet Member provide an update on the delivery of playground and parks projects across the borough?
Thank you, Councillor Douglas, I can. So alongside Wesley Playing Fields, the Council are delivering a number of other improvements across the borough, with Blacklands, North Acton Playing Fields, Glade Lane and Walpole Park already being on site or completed. We won't be stopping there, with work already being started on the design for a number of playgrounds and park projects across the borough, including Pear Tree Park in Perivale, Drayton Green in Pitt's Hanger, Southall Park in Southall Broadway, Trinity Way in East Acton, and Spikes Bridge in Lady Margaret, amongst others. This all forms part of our manifesto commitment to invest £5 million plus in parks and play infrastructure, and I'm delighted that in less than 2 months, we are already delivering this improvement.
Thank you. I call on Councillor Hamidi to move the West London Waste Plan.
I move the motion. I formally move it.
Is that seconded?
Seconded, Madam Mayor.
Is that agreed? Thank you. Changes to the Constitution. I call on Councillor Donnelly to move the report.
I move, Madam Mayor.
Is that seconded?
Seconded.
Is that agreed? Thank you. Review of political balance and appointment to committees. I call on Councillor Wall to move the report.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I move the report on political balance and appointments to committees and add verbally another appointment to OPDC Planning Committee of Councillor Owen and as on the same committee, Councillor Pianand as a deputy.
Is that seconded?
I second it.
Thank you. Is that agreed? Values in action, council plan. I call on Councillor Mason to move the council plan.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. It is once again at that time in the year where I rise to offer to the council plan. And probably, I think now for the fourth year running, I do that with some sort of cold. How fate plays tricks on my vocal cords. I want to begin, Madam Mayor, by thanking the people of Ealing for once again investing their trust in the Ealing Labour Party to lead our borough. For this, it will be our 5th consecutive term as a Labour Party leading this glorious borough, and my 6th time offering a council plan. And we do that in a time when we, of course, recognise the increased plural politics that our borough has sent to this chamber. And we also recognise the febrile times that we are living through, in which extremism, both on the hard left and extremism on the hard right, infect the democratic debates and discussions that we need to have collectively as a borough over our future. But I hope everybody in this chamber can be agreed that we are proud as a borough that is so richly diverse and that has amongst us a population 60% born overseas, that unlike so many other parts of West London and London as a whole, our collective efforts have ensured that this borough is reform-free. This council plan represents the Ealing Labour mantra that was once again returned in this election, that was able to cut through the noise, that we deliver. And not only do we deliver, but that we are on your side. That over the past administration's period in office, that we delivered more action on the climate emergency in 4 years than perhaps we did in the last 4 decades. That despite many of the challenges that we faced in the housing market in London, we still delivered thousands of new, genuinely affordable homes. That we delivered 50,000 more trees, 200 additional SEND places, 10,000 more jobs, 2,000 more apprenticeships, and so much more. Labour is the only party that continues to represent every town in this borough, with a fantastic collection of councillors representing the full diversity of this glorious place. And I just have one little statistic for you, because I think it's incredible that this has happened. For the first time ever, there are more white men in the Liberal Democrat Party in this chamber than there are in the Ealing Labour group. So look at these benches. Look at how gloriously, wonderfully they represent the people of our borough. And then perhaps look to the other side. Because representation, of course, matters. And lived experience matters. Because it tells the people of Ealing in whose interests that we serve and in whose interests that we understand. At the heart of our manifesto and now the council plan, there were 3 core principles. Number 1, that it is absolutely the right of every person, not just in this borough, not just in this city, but in this country, that they should have a meaningful life of connection, that they should have a family that loves them, friends that support them, and a community that is there for them in good times and bad. But secondly, Growth must flow to every single corner of our borough, all 7 towns, that everybody must enjoy the benefits of a growing economy and the knowledge that they can put food on the table, that they don't have to strive and struggle to make life meaningful. And that thirdly, that we put power back into the hands of our residents, that we trust them to know what is good for them and in their best interests, and that they have a full stake in ensuring they set the direction that we go in as a council. You're going to hear tonight from both members of the Cabinet who are going to set out our missions as a council and how we will deliver them over the forthcoming 4 years and, of course, the next 12 months. And you're also going to hear first-time speakers from all political parties, introducing themselves to the borough and to this chamber and setting out what matters to them and matters to their residents. We are able to deliver all of this because we are steadfast in our determination as an administration to be open, inclusive and transparent. And what better way to live that to its truest extent by having the first full council in this new, glorious space. A transformed ground floor of this building that will serve as an icon to demonstrate that we mean it, that we are flinging open our doors to the community, that we want people to be in this space, to control this space, where debates should happen, where celebrations are going to happen, and where we will enjoy all that is good about our borough together. And we do that equally because we know as an administration that we are also terribly efficient with taxpayers' money. That unlike so many boroughs to our borders, who are declaring themselves bankrupt, we have been sensible with taxpayers' money, investing it when it matters, but also not being shy to take on and reform public services when they need to be reformed. Utilising the best of technology and the best of what we know about how life works in the 21st century, to never rest on our laurels, that because we have always done something in the way that we have done it, that it is as good then as it should be today. Our ultimate ambition is entirely clear, and it has been and it will be consistent, that we want for everybody in this borough to have a happy and healthy life, one that is safe and prosperous, and that gives them reward, and that they can enjoy a community that is full of pride, identity and purpose. That is what Ealing Labour offered the people of this borough at the last election. That is what the people of Ealing voted for. And that, my colleagues, my comrades, ladies and gentlemen, is precisely what, over the next 4 years, Ealing Labour will deliver.
Councillor Brett.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I am delighted to second this motion. As Deputy Leader, I am proud to present our Values Action Plan, a clear and ambitious vision for the next 4 years. This isn't just a corporate document. This is a promise to our residents that their voices will continue to shape every decision we make and every service we deliver. We know what matters to the people of Ealing: safe homes, its strong communities, reliable services, and a council that delivers. This is exactly what this plan is about. I am determined to turn those priorities into real change. Despite the financial pressures across local government, we've protected our services. We've invested in our communities. With support from a Labour government and a strong financial leadership in Ealing, we have balanced our budget and we have delivered our first no-cuts budget in 16 years. That is something to be proud of. Residents have seen that progress and put their trust back into this administration because they know Ealing Labour delivers through actions, not words, because we are on your side. Every one of Ealing's 7 towns has its own identity, shaped by generations of people who call it home. And across our borough, one thing is clear: home matters. A safe, secure, and genuinely affordable home is a foundation for health, education, opportunity, and strong communities. That's why housing is at the heart of our vision. Over the last 4 years, we have delivered one of London's strongest affordable housing programmes, with over 2,600 affordable home starts, 21 million invested in new temporary accommodation, 150 million set aside to increase supply for those who need it most. And we're also investing at scale in our council homes, making them safer, warmer, more energy efficient, homes fit for the future. But we know there is still more to do. Too many families are still struggling to find a home, facing homelessness and living in poor conditions. So over the next 4 years, we will be increasing the supply of genuinely affordable homes, regenerating neighbourhoods while protecting what makes them special, investing in greener, warmer homes, delivering our homelessness strategy with a focus on prevention and early help. And we will work with private rented sector to raise standards, support tenants, and crack down on rogue landlords. This plan is built with our communities, rooted in Labour values and focused on real results, safer homes, stronger neighbourhoods, and better opportunities for everybody in Ealing. I am proud of what we've achieved over the last 4 years and even more excited to see what comes in the next 4. I commend this report to Council. Thank you.
Councillor Malcolm.
Thank you, Madam Mayor, and let me just welcome you on behalf of the Liberal Democrats to your first full council after mayor making, and we wish you well in the next 11 months of this year. As a reminder, Councillor Mason 4 years ago said to all councillors who signed in that the Liberal Democrats would be the official opposition for 4 years only. How wrong he was. You may feel good that you're running the council, but you've got a much reduced majority. And I hope there isn't a hint of arrogance in anything that is said tonight from yourselves. Residents are certainly not happy with the Labour administration, and just winning the election isn't enough. You need to do a lot more to get the trust back of those people who've lost the support of you. You lost seat after seat in the May local elections. You then lost the recent by-election when many people would have said you would have won that. And jokingly, I think, talking of one of the candidates, as Oscar Wilde might have said about ex-councillor Shaw, to lose one election was regarded as a misfortune. To lose 2 looks like carelessness. So Labour at the moment are treading on thin ice. The Liberal Democrats won both against Labour and the Tories in the borough, and of the 9 top councillors who got elected by vote, 7 were Lib Dems. So much has changed in the last 4 years. But let me welcome all of the councillors from all the parties here today, and from those from new parties as well. And let me welcome those and wish them well for those who are making their maiden speeches tonight. I especially welcome the Lib Dem councillors who are new, and they will work hard, and they have already worked hard in the past couple of weeks since they got elected. They're going to look to solve every problem that exists in their ward and give back as much as they can to the wards that they've got elected in. So if we look at the council plan, there are 4 or 5 areas I'm going to go into. The first one looks at children. And we've seen if we had no children's centres, then a new family hub might seem a positive step, but we do, and we have quite a lot, but despite Labour plans to close them, one new family hub plus an outreach cannot be better than retaining the many we have and improving those children's centres. And to try and close them, as was done over the last 12 months, was a retrograde step for parents and children and the borough as a whole. Councillor Sanders spoke about this a bit earlier, about Ombudsman. You have this impression, because it's gone on for years and years, that people are treated like numbers. People may phone the council, people may want to speak to the council. And I think Councillor Hirsch, 3 or 4 years ago, spoke about opening up Percival House after the planning application failed as quickly as possible. But it's taken about 4 years to get that, and that was much too late. We should have been where we are a couple of years ago. But if you look at the high number of maladministration and severe maladministration findings, it really shows that we don't care enough about those people who are sometimes the most vulnerable. And Councillor Sanders gave one example, but there are many others that we read and we see in our papers that are vulnerable, damp, mould, and urgent repairs are just not dealt with quickly enough. And so I don't think some of the issues there have been dealt with in this paper. They're just ignored almost in that paper. And I think the stuff that was said earlier on today, I'm not convinced this issue is one that you will solve quickly. But I think you should have put this in the document with a bit more action points to give it a bit more weight. The third thing that came up, whichever ward you were in during the election, was the streets are dirty, not just fly tipping, but leaves and everything else. There's nothing in here, apart from a bland statement in a little bit of it, where it says the borough will be cleaned up. There's no action plan. We're not looking to be tougher on our contractors to make sure they do what we pay them to do. And I think there again, it's going to be, that there's not much confidence, I think, that we're going to have a cleaner borough in 4 years' time or even 1 year's time. And then my last sort of area is about the death of the high street, and that's not new. All of our high streets are suffering because of the economy. But I think when you look at West Ealing, there is so much drug dealing that you can just see in the streets. There are so many people afraid of the antisocial behaviour and other crimes there. At night, many of those voters were told they should not go to the high street, and that isn't a good situation. And I know work has gone on with the police and the council, but it hasn't been as effective as it needs to. There are thousands of residents in and around those parts of West Ealing that need their problems sorted quickly, and the council and the police need to work far firmer on that. There are many areas of the high street which the council can work on to improve it. We need to bring growth to our high streets, and that means creating micro-business allowances to give startups a chance. We need to work with other businesses to have lower...
Councillor Markham, you need to wrap it up. Your time is up.
I will wrap up. In closing, Madam Mayor, I would just say we are very disappointed by this annual plan. There are very few details and actions. It could have been so much better, and that's why the Liberal Democrats will not be supporting it. Thank you, Madam Mayor.
Councillor Nassimi.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. It's a real privilege to stand here for the first time in this chamber as the newly elected Councillor for East Acton. I want to begin by thanking the residents of East Acton who placed their trust in me, and to thank my ward colleagues, Councillor Steve Donnelly and Councillor Hitesh Taylor, for their guidance and generosity, and to also my friends, family members and campaigners who supported me throughout the election process. For me, this moment is deeply personal. 27 years ago, my family fled Afghanistan, the Taliban regime, to seek safety here in the UK. We came with very little but hope. But what changed the course of my life was not wealth or privilege. It was the strength of public services, the welcome of communities, and the strength of public services. That belief sits heavily with me when I think of the women and children in Afghanistan who are denied the right to study, work, and to take part in public and political life. This campaign was also deeply personal for me because I stood in the election whilst pregnant, and I stand here today, full term, ready to give birth, but also ready to serve. And that is not just my story. It's a reminder of the power, resilience, and the contribution of women in public life, and why our politics must make room for women at every stage of their life. Since being elected, one of the most rewarding aspects of my role so far has been helping residents navigate the challenges in daily life. In just a few short weeks, I've supported residents in issues ranging from housing repairs, homelessness, to parking, benefits, health and social care services. Each case has reminded me that the council plan is not just a strategic document. It is about whether a resident gets the repair they need. It's about whether a family has somewhere safe to sleep at night. And it's also whether someone under pressure can get the right support at the right time. And that is why our council plan matters. It's ensuring our priorities are reflected in the lives of the people that we represent, not just as headings, but as lived experiences. So our test will not be the words we agree here tonight. It will be whether residents feel the difference. So I come to this role with gratitude, but also with a clear sense of responsibility. My family came here to seek safety and hope. This country helped turn that hope into reality. And now, as a councillor, I want to play my part into making sure that happens for every resident in East Acton and across Ealing, whatever their circumstances, so that they can share in that same possibility. Thank you.
Very good.
Councillor Karimi.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Madam Mayor, may I begin by congratulating you on your election. It's a great honour to address this chamber for the first time as the newly elected councillor for Pitsanga Ward. A ward I'm proud to call home, a ward defined by its parks, its communities and the small businesses along Pitsanga Lane that gives our high street its character and warmth. I would like to extend a word of thanks to my ward colleagues. My utmost gratitude to Councillor Ben Wesson and Councillor Rima Baclini for their constant encouragement and comradeship. At last but not least, I'm profoundly grateful to the residents of Pitsanga for voting for me and for trusting me. Trust carries responsibility. It is earned task by task through competence and reliability. That's the standard I hold myself to. I didn't enter local politics or a public life for a title or recognition. I came because local government is where change stops being abstract. When I read our council plan, I see change in people's lives. Our young people deserve real investment and platform to be heard. And it means taking safety seriously, more lighting, stronger safeguarding, so our children, our women, and our girls can feel safe and protected. Safety is the foundation everything else is built on. We cannot speak of safety in change without speaking honestly about the climate emergency, a crisis that falls hardest on those who can least afford it. Rising energy bills, dump homes, and the cost of keeping warm in winter or cool in summer are not abstract challenges. Investing in our homes and improving our air quality is not merely environmental policy. It's a cost of living policy. It's a matter of health, fairness, and social justice. Madam Mayor, I am delighted to see the council plan committing the council to take decisive actions to tackle the climate emergency, together with an ambitious Ealing Labour manifesto that puts our communities at the heart of climate action. It reflects a vision of a fairer and more sustainable borough. I look forward to playing my part in delivering that vision and working as a part of a Labour administration that's taking the climate crisis seriously while investing in opportunity, safety, and a better future for all our residents. Thank you, Madam Mayor.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Thank you very much. And may I say, welcome too. I think you're doing an excellent job. I've seen you at least twice or even 3 times in public places, and I'm sure you've done a great deal more than that. You're doing a splendid job. I'd like to welcome all the new councillors here today. Councillor Nassimi, who I've got to know very well. What a wonderful speech. What a wonderful presence you are in the borough, and going to be more so. Councillor Karimi too. Good to hear you. But especially welcoming our new councillors in North Greenford, who took seats from Labour by sheer hard work, by sheer showing interest in people, knocking on doors and showing interest in people's lives. There they are, and I'm really delighted. So a new councillor in Ealing Broadway and an old-timer like me who's returned as well. Not so bad. But I wish I could be so positive about the party in control of this council, Madam Mayor, who seem to have lost their grip on reality. It's not really surprising, is it, given the game of musical chairs going on in Westminster at the moment, getting rid of a leader after less than 2 years in government because I don't know why, but I can assure them that parachuting in someone who might give more whoop-de-doo speeches is certainly no solution to having no plan. Thank you. It's not surprising then that this council plan is thin on detail and short of genuine idea. Now, there are lots of warm words, sharing in the benefits of growth, taking part in decisions and agreeing the changes that are required to live well alongside one another. Poetry, isn't it? I hope they're using the paid-for version of ChatGPT, but I'm afraid to say it won't fool anyone. When you get to the delivery plan, and I'm going to be fair here, there are some undeniably good things which I do support. A very good initiative to increase employer participation in apprenticeship opportunities and inspire young people on career paths. Get on with it, call on everybody, call on all the parties, and use the expertise in the borough. A healthy weight service and a programme to improve oral health for children and families. Very good, and I'm very proud that one of my constituents has launched a charity to help with this problem. I confess to you, I was initially sceptical about Your Voice, Your Town, but the first year rollout was promising and got plenty of people involved. I want to hear more detail about Community SIL that's going to back up its funding. Nice new atrium here. It's great. Let's hope there's a fully functioning information desk too. I don't want to hear any more residents complaining that they can't talk to somebody at council. But when the focus goes to housing, development, crime, and the local economy, we stop believing this plan. Mission 6 talks smoothly about a viable delivery route for Gunnell, when there is still no final funding strategy and nothing more than outline planning permission for the 300 homes that are supposed to be part of that. No mention anywhere of learning from the Broadway living debacle, which has been discussed tonight, which has created £6 million of debt that's got to be paid down over 50 years. And, Madam Mayor, what about the plans to build an Ealing Lido? I called this in 2023 as a frivolous waste of resources, and I was ignored. And now this appears to have been quietly dropped from the new council plan. Madam Mayor, this council plan is insular. People don't live confined in 20-minute neighbourhoods. The plan should be talking about exploiting employment opportunities at Heathrow, about developing close and pragmatic business partnerships with neighbouring boroughs like Hillingdon. The council must do much more to attract businesses into Ealing and keep them. And that's not the same thing as sending 9 emissaries to UK RAFE. The council must use its convening powers, big convening powers, to connect Ealing SMEs with each other and increase enforcement and penalties for people who blight the borough with fly tipping and graffiti. Now, these are the blunt, critical measures that Ealing residents might just take seriously, but they're not in this plan, and we won't be supporting it tonight. Thank you, Madam Mayor.
Councillor Muffet.
Madam Mayor, thank you very much. I would like to express my gratitude to be able to address this chamber for the first time, though we've already answered 3 questions, as the Cabinet Member for Climate Action. And I'd like to pay tribute to Councillor Driscoll for his performance in this role before, a man with a lot of knowledge and a lot of care for these issues, and it is a tough act to follow. I'd also therefore like to place my thanks in the people of Ealing who've re-elected me, and indeed this Labour administration. Councillor Malcolm, you talk about delivering Percival House. If it was up to the Liberal Democrats to deliver the atrium at Percival House, we'd still be waiting, as the people haven't elected you to run this borough. And I had initially prepared this point just for you as well, Councillor Malcolm, but I'm sad to say Councillor Gallant might have to face it too. I'm not sure either of you have actually read the delivery plan, which speaks very clearly in a lot of detail about how we are looking after this borough, about our support for this borough and the people who call Ealing home. Mission number 5, the mission that I, as the Cabinet Member for Climate Action, have responsibility for, is all about keeping our streets clean and clear. Councillor Malcolm, it's there in the title. So when you say we haven't addressed it, it's the big bold bit at the top. Just remember to read that bit. I'd also like to welcome our new councillors. So many fantastic people have joined us, and I am delighted to say that Councillor Karimi, you're talking about the climate crisis. So am I. That's what I'm here to talk about. And Councillor Nzimi, you've talked about street lighting. It's there in the delivery plan. Even if the Liberal Democrats haven't read it, it's in there. And because we're in charge, we are going to deliver it. Because we care about people in this borough having a better life. And it is those values in action across the delivery plan and the council plan that you can read in these documents. Because climate action for me is not just about some kind of ideological, indeterminate, abstract concept. It is about better living. It is about making sure that everybody in this borough lives a better life than they did when we started our administration. And I think right there in the delivery plan, again, I hate to say it, the detail that you say is lacking is that we are going to launch the borough's first bulk solar scheme to reduce energy costs and carbon emissions, because we are supporting Ealing residents to make good choices, the right choices, not in abstract, something that will help them resist the energy shocks that the Conservative Trust government has left us so open to. We're also going to deliver and adopt a new curbside strategy so that people who live in this borough can have the street around them that supports them to live the life that they want to. And because we're responsive to residents, because we're protecting those streets, we're also providing a 24/7 abandoned vehicle service to improve neighbourhood cleanliness. Better living.
Time is up. Wrap up, please.
Better living is all about supporting residents. I am delighted that we are able to do that as Ealing Labour and proud of the work that we have in this delivery plan. Thank you.
Councillor Bailey.
Madam Mayor, it is with great honour and just total appreciation that I've been elected the new councillor of the Norfolk Mandeville ward. You can clap, it's all right. And I've spent my life in Norfolk. I grew up in Norfolk. And just a few decades ago, as a young person, I would walk around the streets from the Racecourse Estate to around Islip Manor. And to think that now I'm elected to stand for the people of Norfolk, I am so happy and proud. I have a background in engineering and a technical background, but I've always been drawn towards charity work and working with the community. And my heartbeat is about working and helping the community. From working with HAFPAC, which was about addressing crime, antisocial behaviour in Hammersmith and Fulham, to working with a project in Norfolk, addressing knife crime and various issues surrounding knife crime. So I'm happy to be a councillor. I'm happy to represent Labour, and I have to address the elephant in the room, to be honest. Why am I Labour? Why Labour? Because that's the elephant in the room. It's because when it comes to cleaner streets, it ticks the boxes for me. When it comes to safer neighbourhoods, it ticks the box for me. When it comes to tackling crime and antisocial behaviour, that ticks the box for me. And especially when it comes to thriving communities. I'm a community person, and already part of our manifesto is to empower communities. And already we have a list of, I would say, close to 9 individuals that want to help volunteer their time, whether it comes to event or even to run a local centre in Norfolk Mandeville. And in closing, I'd like to say this. One of my first public events was in St. Mary's Church, and as they do, they ask you to say something. And I said a very short word, and I sat down. And as I sat down, I was aware that those that are amongst me were from various political persuasions, shall I say. And they turned to me and said, Andrew, we voted for you. And I knew that they were from different parties, they represented, but they said, Andrew, we voted for you. And today I'm so proud of the fact, and to stand with my esteemed colleagues, and I'm proud of the fact that I can make a change in Norfolk with my party, and we can make a difference in Norfolk. And I do know, and I'm fully aware, because many of the casework, I've already got involved in casework, from issues of, like you say, antisocial behaviour, fly tipping, we're addressing this. That again ticks the box for me. And I'd like to say in closing, let's see how long my term, I'm going to stop there. Because you're not allowed to give a dig in this. But I want to say thank you, and I hope to prove the tenants or residents that voted for me right, that have put their trust in me. Thank you so much.
Wow.
Councillor Wellsby.
Thank you, Madam Mayor, councillors. I firstly like to say I'm very proud to be been elected by Hanwell Broadway and West Ealing, but also to be part of the first Green Group in Ealing, and to have the support of my colleagues here who were voted in South Acton and North Acton, and to congratulate Councillor Marine and Van der Geer on her election in North Acton in a very hot week. Values in action under an umbrella of connected communities with nine mission delivery plan. That's what I want to speak about. We've just had a red heat alert. Tackling the climate crisis only appears under mission 5 with clean streets and clear roads and specific deliverables in 26-27. These lack measurable outputs and are set alongside very broad brush commitments to tackle this emergency. To quote Professor of Climate Change Impacts, Newcastle University, Hayley Fowler, part of the National Emergency Briefing 2025, our infrastructure was built for a climate that no longer exists. This is the least extreme climate you will experience. Just think what that means, the least extreme that you are going to experience. I welcome Councillor Moffat emphasising in the plan the bulk solar panel initiative, but how many, when and where? Going back to the emergency, children, especially under 1, our health, older and vulnerable people, infrastructure, housing, food security, community safety, green spaces, neighbourhoods and the economy are all affected. Responding to the climate emergency must be part of all of Ealing's 9 missions. It covers everything, it affects us all. I want to move on. Community connectedness and promoting resilience, a key part of the plan and Ealing's overall values. Must also apply to residents' concerns, as well as decisions the council asked residents to participate in and be acted on. Many have not been invited, others feel ignored and blocked. I recognise the pressure on staff working hard to do their jobs well. However, the experience of many residents is one of frustration and disengagement. We hear residents telling us they want their legitimate concerns addressed, but their voices are not heard. A petition meeting the higher thresholds to be debated since July 2025, with 5,000 local handwritten verifiable names, addresses and signatures not yet heard. Residents trying to engage regarding local developments, forming campaign groups, for example, Hands Off Hanwell, Trumpers Way, Elthorne Works, also supported by Labour councillors. Residents resort to making complaints or apply to the Ombudsman with recent findings, as mentioned earlier, against Ealing in relation to housing and social care, and the campaign against the closure of children's centres culminating in a judicial review. This found in Ealing's favour, but at a cost in time, money and trust. Time that could have been spent engaging with the community as invited to do so in April 2025 under, they thought, the council's connected community vision. An opportunity to connect missed. Despite recent commitments that the early help strategy would improve the Children's Centre offer, in Mission 1, to give every child the best start in life, there is not a mention, not even the words early help or children's centres. Instead, one family hub in the borough and targeted outreach, and no reference to either the existing or reduced children's centre network. Is this open, inclusive and transparent? Without clear measurable outputs and outcomes, how can the council be held accountable for this plan? There are gaps within it. The gaps within it are significant. As such, I cannot support it.
Councillor Hashini.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I am honoured to stand before you as the Cabinet for a fairer start. Our young people are the future, and our commitment is clear: to ensure that every child across our 7 towns, regardless of their background or circumstances, has the best start in life. And we know that the earliest years of a child's life are amongst the most important, a crucial stage of development that can set young people up for life. And that's why our new and improved early years offer will be more integrated and accessible, getting the right support to children and their families as early as possible. This will include a strong universal offer, as well as targeted support where needed. The work has begun, and we'll be opening our first new family hub in Southall later this year. And that's in addition to a stronger offer in our existing centres. We'll be delivering activities in community settings such as our libraries, faith spaces and community hubs. We'll be working closely with our voluntary sector and delivering a new digital offer so that you can get advice and guidance more readily online. We also know that some of our most vulnerable families are not accessing the support they need as quickly as needed. But through our outreach work and our new approach to family support, including the Family First Partnership, we are determined to reach families earlier before challenges become crises. And when we talk about giving every child the best start in life, no child will be left behind. Children and young people with SEND continue to face barriers in education and employment. Creating an inclusive education system that meets the needs of every child is one of the most important ways that we can tackle those barriers. That is why we are investing in more SEND provision within our borough so that more children can access the right support and education closer to home and within mainstream settings. And we will continue to do more by co-producing with young people and families, ensuring that their voice is at the heart of the decisions impacting them. But our ambitions, of course, don't stop at school. Last Friday, I attended the supported internship graduation at the University of West London, a programme in partnership with Ealing Council and MENCAP, where 8 young people with SEND celebrated completing a year-long internship programme. The recent Milburn report found that only 1 in 4 of young people with SEND are in employment by 24 years of age. Yet through this particular programme, 70% of interns had gone on to secure paid employment over the last 2 years. I was really moved listening to the graduates and their families speak about the difference the programme had made to their lives. And it reminded me that essentially with the right support and opportunities, young people can achieve incredible things. And so with that, and on behalf of the Ealing Labour Group, our commitment is clear that every child in Ealing has the best possible start and opportunity to fulfil their potential, and that no child is held back by circumstances beyond their control. And that's what a fairer start means, and that's what we are committed to delivering. Thank you, Madam Mayor.
Councillor Ryan.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. When I was 8 years old, we moved to Belfast from a smaller county town to a home with more room for a family of 7 in a leafy cul-de-sac. It was August 1969, and the tensions that had been simmering for generations erupted into the troubles that would dominate life in Northern Ireland for the next 30 years. During the first weeks in our new home, my siblings and I would come down most mornings to find 2 or 3 families, shocked, exhausted and terrified, who had been burned out of their homes by sectarian gangs during the night. While my mother made breakfast and my father and other volunteers on the relief committee tried to find emergency accommodation for them, I was sent upstairs to get clothes for these parents and children who had just lost everything. That experience made a deep impression on me and gave me a lasting conviction that every person should have the right to a home that is safe and secure, in a community free from prejudice, threat and intimidation, a place from which to go out to make a living every day, in which to raise children and give them the best start in life, and hopefully in which to live out their days with dignity and autonomy. Madam Mayor, it was therefore a privilege and an honour to be elected by the residents of Central Greenford to represent them as a Labour member of Ealing Council. As the Council begins a 5th term under Labour's leadership, I am proud to support the Council Plan values in action, and especially its commitment to the vital importance of home in all its aspects. A commitment that includes continuing to increase the supply of social, council, and genuinely affordable homes, protecting tenants' rights and improving standards in HMOs and private rentals, enabling 30 care-experienced young people to access social housing tenancies, and working to end homelessness and rough sleeping in the borough. A commitment to supporting older people to continue to live as independently as possible, whether in supported housing or with adaptations in their own home. I want to thank my fellow councillors in Central Greenford, Sanjay Kohli and Dr. Munira Bazi, for sharing their experience and knowledge so generously. But with my concluding words on the subject of home, I would like to pay tribute to my predecessor, Councillor Dr. Aisha Raza. Among her many, many achievements, Aisha was responsible for rehabilitating a pair of what she dubbed the Asbo beavers, evicted from their home in Scotland for obscure crimes. And thanks to her, they are now settled in Paradise Fields and making a valuable contribution to society, not least by preventing flooding at Greenford Station. And as we learned at a wonderful commemoration service for Councillor Raza last week, they've just had their first baby. Madam Mayor, I urge my colleagues to support the motion.
Councillor Elwall.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I want to start by saying how much of an honour it is to be representing North Hanwell Ward for the first time and to be speaking to you as a Cabinet Member for Thriving Communities. I'm delighted to return to Cabinet and begin working with so many organisations and people who represent the very best that our borough has to offer in the work that they do to make their communities better, more vibrant and inclusive places. I would also like to congratulate all those councillors making their maiden speeches tonight. The council plan is our plan to deliver on the commitments made to the public during the election, where Ealing Labour was elected for a historic 5th term. These commitments will make Ealing a better place to live, with cleaner, safer streets, good jobs that pay a living wage, affordable homes, better opportunities for our young people, and independence in later life. In my portfolio, the council plan will deliver refreshed leisure and outdoor opportunities. This will include a £5 million+ investment in our parks and playgrounds, which is already underway. And as I mentioned earlier, we have seen refurbishment works take place already in Walpole Park, which have replaced old and worn-out equipment, and major improvements underway in Wesley playing fields to refurbish equipment, provide new outdoor gym equipment and new sports markings, amongst many more planned in the coming months and years. But we will not stop at improvements to our existing parks and green spaces, but we will better connect them too. The West London Regional Park has been a core focus of many of my early meetings, and our council plan will continue delivery of our regional park. This will see a 13-kilometre long trail across Ealing and Hounslow, connecting our parks, waterways, arts and landmarks from the very south of the borough to the very north. Communities and how we work with them is at the heart of our council plan. The first phase of Your Voice, Your Town has been a huge success, but we can do better and go further. That is why we will expand and deliver the Your Voice, Your Town model with renewed town teams and another round of funding for community-led action on projects that matter to local people, better connecting our communities. Finally, we will support cultural diversity in Ealing that all of us are so proud of. Our council plan commits to refreshing and developing our cultural plan, providing greater opportunities to access culture across the borough, bringing people from all backgrounds together. Our council plan will build further on our years of success, and we will deliver on the priorities that local people elected us on. And to Councillor Gallant, that does include a better swimming facility at Gurnell Leisure Centre and also an outdoor swimming facility. I recommend the council plan to colleagues. Thank you, Madam Mayor.
Councillor Mellor.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Thank you for calling me to speak. I'm incredibly proud to be part of the three-strong Liberal Democrat team, which gets to represent the residents, businesses and community organisations in Walpole Ward. It's somewhere where I've made my home for the past decade. I live with my children and my wife, and it's a fantastic opportunity to represent the community on issues that they've raised and on personal issues, and particularly accessibility across this borough. I would like to thank our Labour predecessors as Walpole councillors, Binda Rai, Gareth Shaw and Grace Quanser, for their public service, for their good wishes in us assuming our roles, and Councillor Quanser for handing over casework to ensure continuity of care for our residents. I think shows the best of our democratic institutions. Thank you to the voters in Walpole for placing their trust in us. We spoke to thousands of residents over the past few years. Consistently, they told us their priorities are to tackle crime and antisocial behaviour, to improve the cleanliness of our streets, to turn around the fortunes of West Ealing High Street, and to address issues with Lammas Park, Walpole Park and Dean's Gardens. The council plan goes some way to addressing these concerns. For example, I look forward to working with the administration to improve the state of playgrounds in the ward. However, the corporate plan contains little in the way of improvements in street cleanliness. We did read it. A major area of concern for our residents. I would urge the administration to look at the Liberal Democrat manifesto for ideas. One area we do agree on is the use of community skips, which I note was a commitment in the Labour Party's literature in North Acton. And finally, I'm particularly keen to work on a cross-party basis and with businesses, local agencies and community groups to support the renewal of West Ealing. Whilst it's reassuring that the West Ealing Action Group is mentioned in the corporate plan, we've learnt there's only currently a one-year commitment for officers to support the current governance structures, and many projects remain unfunded. So I would urge the council to commit additional monies, perhaps from SIL, and officer time to West Ealing for the full 4-year council term, given the scale of the challenge ahead of us. And hopefully together we can address crime and antisocial behaviour concerns, invest in physical improvements in the area and to strengthen our civic society. Thank you.
Councillor Ford.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. It's both an honour and a privilege to stand here today to make my maiden speech as a newly elected Labour councillor for Norfolk West End. Firstly, I want to thank the residents of Norfolk West End for placing their trust in me. I don't take that responsibility lightly. I also want to thank my friends, my family, my neighbours, my fellow councillors in Norfolk, and everyone who supported me on this journey. I didn't stand to become a councillor because of politics. I stood because I cared deeply about people. Throughout my career, I've worked with organisations to create workplaces where everyone has the opportunity to succeed, regardless of their background, identity, or circumstances. I've seen firsthand what can happen when you remove barriers, when you listen to communities and design services that work for everyone. Now I have the opportunity to bring those same principles of equity and inclusion and community partnership to the people of Norfolk and the residents of Ealing. Madam Mayor, for me, being a councillor is about giving people hope. Hope that where you live should never determine how healthy you are. Hope that your postcode should never limit your opportunities. Hope that every child, every family, and every older resident can look to the future with confidence. Norfolk is a community full of potential. It is rich in diversity, resilience, and community spirit. But we also know there are inequities that have existed for far too long. Too many residents continue to experience poorer health outcomes, economic disadvantage, and barriers to opportunity. That is why I am proud that this council plan doesn't simply talk about managing services. It sets out a vision for helping people to thrive. Because before people can thrive, they must first feel safe. The commitment to crack down on crime and antisocial behaviour through additional CCTV, improved street lighting, alley gates and stronger enforcement and visible neighbourhood policing will make a real difference to communities like Norfolk, where residents simply want to feel safe walking home, taking their children to the park, or visiting their local shops. Our commitment to giving every child a fairer start also matters deeply to me. We know that outstanding schools alone are not enough. Supporting families through family hubs, investing in children and young people, and ensuring every child has the opportunity to succeed, regardless of their background, is how we build stronger communities for generations to come. And as a social entrepreneur myself, I support creating an inclusive economy that means ensuring that prosperity reaches every neighbourhood, bringing well-paid jobs into the borough, investing in skills, supporting thriving businesses, and creating sustainable growth, giving residents real opportunities to build secure futures close to home. One commitment that particularly resonates with me...
Councillor, your time is up.
Okay, thank you so much. I promise to help people in Norfolk West End. It's simple. I will be visible, accessible and accountable. Thank you, Madam Mayor.
Councillor McLaughlin. Microphone.
Promising that this time everything will be better. Yet, if Labour's previous plans had worked as advertised, this one wouldn't be necessary. But after 16 years, Labour is promising to solve problems they've largely created. It's actually an interesting document because it's a very weak document. And almost every mission reads as an admission of failure. It is, in effect, an audit of their failures. Tell me, Madam Mayor, how is it that this is not an abject failure? The document repeatedly speaks of investment across all 7 towns. Yet I intend to speak for North Greenford, because frankly, no one else does. Perhaps that's why, for the first time ever, residents elected 3 Conservative councillors. It was a remarkable vote of confidence, and one for which we remain profoundly grateful. Labour tells us of residents will have power in their hands. That's an attractive phrase. If after 16 years the borough still requires missions to tackle antisocial behaviour, revive high streets, improve housing, strengthen community identity and restore public confidence, then those are not merely ambitions. They are again admissions of past failures. North Greenford will know this one. The plan promises to improve HMO standards. Let me challenge a thought. How many of you live next to an HMO? I do. When HMOs are well run, they pass without remark. When they are not, they dominate the street and our council inbox. And that is precisely why public confidence matters in granting permissions and enforcement. We say no to unchecked proliferation of HMOs. Conservatives believe in stable streets, not transient neighbourhoods, and policies that help get people there. We believe people invest in places when they have a genuine stake in them, not when communities are continually divided. Meanwhile, across the country, the political tide is shifting. Voters are becoming less interested in the process and increasingly interested in competence. That should concern this administration.
Your time is up, Councillor. Wrap it up.
The question is whether we continue with a system that apologises after the fact or one that prevents the fact from occurring in the first place.
Councillor Donnelly.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Can I start by congratulating all the new members who have made and will make their speeches this evening. I think all of us here at some point tonight will remember when it first happened to us. I think I remember. It is a very long time ago. But I think it's clear there are, across the chamber, formidable new voices, formidable new messages, people whose words, both within their parties and across the chamber, will need to be reckoned with. And those of us who've been around a bit longer will need to watch out that we're not considered a bit behind the times and irrelevant. Which brings me to Councillor Malcolm. I don't think it's arrogance, Councillor Malcolm, for us to feel pride that we were re-elected for a 5th term. How many councils around the country are elected, and particularly this year round, for a 5th year running? It's pride, not arrogance, that we have 46 seats, a number that's only been exceeded by any other party once in the history of the London Borough of Ealing, 1968, for Anoraks. Winning isn't enough, maybe enough, but it's a good start, Councillor Malcolm. It's a very good start. We will hear across the next 4 years judgment about how we work against our manifesto that became the council plan. Because let's be clear, what we put forward tonight is what we put forward to the people of Ealing, and they said, yes, please. Yes, Councillor McLaughlin, it's a different environment. We all felt it, I think, on the doorstep this time. But we have to deal with these things in a sophisticated way, in a mature way, and I hope that across this chamber we will in the next few years. Having welcomed the main speeches, I take particular pride in Councillor Nassimi, who, as you can see, is ready to make the Labour Group 47 rather than 46. For Councillor Gallant, I can say we're still in favour of open water swimming, which is the term we're now going to use to resolve the controversy between Lido and Lido. Lido is correct, by the way. But just to finish off, Councillor Ford, in her excellent contribution, made reference to the inclusive economy that stands at the heart of my portfolio, and all the tools that we will use to give local people access to what they need, not just to live, but to thrive. That's the commitment of this administration, and that's what we will continue to deliver for the next 4 years. And I commend the council plan to the chamber.
Right on time, Councillor Donnelly. Councillor J. Anand.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. May I congratulate all the new maiden speeches that have been made and will be made later on today. Congratulations to all of them. Madam Mayor, over the last 4 years, Ealing Labour has delivered real, visible action to keep our communities safe. We've backed that up with a record investment with 13 million committed to tackling crime and antisocial behaviour. We've expanded our CCTV network to 736 cameras, strengthened enforcement and increased visible patrols through our unified patrol service, bringing together park guards and council enforcement officers to provide reassurance and tackle antisocial behaviour across our borough. Madam Mayor, we also invested in prevention. Our youth violence strategy, backed by 2 million, is helping to steer young people away from crime. And we've made Ealing safer for women and girls through better street lightings and the expansion of our women's wellness zone. Councillor Malcolm, we know there is more to do. Over the next few months, while we were knocking on doors, residents have told me they still don't always feel safe in their communities. Madam Mayor, that is why Ealing Labour's new Values in Action plan commits us to go further and faster in tackling crime and antisocial behaviour. Over the next 4 years, we will expand our CCTV network with 50 redeployable cameras to target crime and fly tipping hotspots. We will invest in safer public spaces through improved lighting, alleyway gating, and surveillance, and continue to strengthen our visible patrols, working closely with the police and our partners to keep residents safe. Madam Mayor, I'm clear in my commitment. We will be tough on crime and tough on causes of crime. That means not only strong enforcement, but also tackling youth violence, exploitation, and the factors that allow crime to take hold. Madam Mayor, at the same time, we will continue to build stronger, more united communities. Ealing's diversity is one of our greatest strengths, and we will support community-led events, strengthen our faith partnerships, and bring people together, because safer communities are stronger communities. Let me be clear, Madam Mayor. There is no place in Ealing for those who exploit, intimidate, or harm others. Madam Mayor, my mission is simple: to build a better borough that is safer, fairer, and united. I endorse our council plan, Values in Action 2026 and 2030. Thank you, Madam Mayor.
Right on time. Councillor Al-Harashi.
Thank you so much, Madam Mayor and councillors and all colleagues. Before I begin, I would like to warmly welcome my new colleague who won her great election on the 25th of June, which was, I think, and we think as a Green Group, a new test for election in Ealing, and hopefully that will set the scene for coming elections. I look forward to work with her in Acton and within wider Ealing. Colleagues, tonight we're debating a document called Values in Action. For me, these three words are a real test before us this evening, because residents are no longer interested in papers and they're no longer interested in false promises. Rather, they want real action. As a councillor representing South Acton, many residents reached out during this very short period around many issues, including housing, street cleanness, safety, services that are simply going higher and higher in cost. And what I can see, and across the green side, that the underpinning of these conversations is what is the value for money that we're receiving within Ealing. So residents understand that councils are currently going under immense financial pressure, but they also understand that they would like to get the service they deserve as local citizens. But what we want to see in this very plan, that we want to see how every pound is being spent wisely, that services are improving, and that promises are turning into measurable outcomes that can actually see real impact on people's lives. So accordingly, this plan really matters. I have seen a number of good promises, including healthier communities and reducing inequality, but unfortunately, these remain as ambitions as they lack any measurable outcomes to say. So we don't want to see number of activities. We don't want to see more glamorous announcements as we hear today. We don't want to hear number of strategies. I think we want, as a green side, we want to hear tangible outcomes that residents can actually see and feel. And there are questions that hopefully we can answer in 4 years' time. Some of these questions: can a young person find opportunity closer to their home? Can a family access affordable housing? Can older residents live with dignity in Ealing? Can local people feel safer in their neighborhoods? Can we honestly say that we're leaving a cleaner, greener borough to the next generation? That is, I think, the standard, and I think we agree on this side, the standard we would like to see in the plan and we would like to judge in this plan. A very good example that sets out this plan, which is included somewhere else on the agenda, which is around the West London Waste
Your
Plan.
time is up.
Yeah,
Can you
thank
wrap
you.
it up?
I think the plan should focus on prevention on many different levels. We want value rather than statements, and accordingly, as Green,
Councillor,
we are opposing to this.
your time is up.
Yeah, thank you. That's why I cannot support
Time
this
is
plan
up. Yeah,
as presented.
take a
Thank you
seat.
so much.
Thank you. Councillor Ajayi.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I was brought up in Birmingham to parents from the Windrush generation who came to this country with a suitcase, very little money and a handful of dreams, determined to build a better life than the one they had known. I'm also the youngest of 6 children, and before anyone says it, yes, the youngest is often accused of being spoilt and getting their own way. And I will happily concede that the latter is certainly true. And if getting my own way means fighting harder and longer for the residents of Greenford Broadway, then I make no apology for it. I stand here tonight because the residents of Greenford Broadway did not just give me their vote, they gave me their trust. That humbles me, that motivates me. So to the residents of Greenford Broadway, I say thank you. Thank you for opening the doors, for listening and for trusting me. I will never forget who sent me here and why. And to my family and friends and my colleagues here today, thank you again for all your support as well. My dad had a very particular idea of what a summer holiday looked like. A blackboard, chalk, and he was the only thing that we could have, because he saw absolutely no reason why long division couldn't be a leisure activity. Mornings were for maths, evenings were for reading, and there was very little room for negotiation. I have to say at the time I was not entirely grateful, but he gave me a love of education and reading that has never left me. And having served as a school governor for more than 18 years, I know the hopes parents carry for their children and the barriers that can stand in their way. That's why the council's Fairer Start programme is so needed. Too many people told me during the campaign that their voice didn't matter, that politics happened to them rather than something they could shape. That is exactly why the council plan and its commitment to power in your hands, community for everyone, and your voice, your town, matters so much to me. Because every resident deserves real control over their own life and a community they truly belong to. I am proud of what Ealing Labour has delivered through the Race Equality Commission and the Citizens Tribunal. It is barriers to inclusion that this council is determined to break down, and I intend to be part of making that happen. For me, the mission, though, is very simple, and this is what matters to me most. It's ensuring that every child has the best start in life and tackling the barriers that hold young people back from fulfilling their dreams. That is why I'm so proud of the council's commitment to launch the Ealing Reading Partnership, because a love of reading changed the course of my own life. So tonight, my promise is simple: to listen, to serve, and to challenge where necessary. I will work so that every resident of Greenford Broadway can see themselves in our democracy, hear their voice in our decisions, and share in the future we build together. I therefore commend the council plan to this chamber. Thank you.
Councillor Hamidi.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Madam Mayor, let me begin by thanking our officers for their hard work in shaping our values and action plan, setting out our mission for the next 4 years. I'm proud to build on the strong foundations of the last 4 years, and I want to pay tribute to former councillor Shetal Manro, whose passion and leadership in this portfolio were outstanding. I'm committed to continuing that work and delivering good, inclusive growth for every part of our borough. As portfolio holder for good growth, my priority is clear: to deliver sustainable growth in every town with targeted investment in communities that have been left behind. Growth should never be measured by the numbers of buildings that go up. Success is measured by whether local people feel the benefits in their everyday lives. That means more genuinely affordable homes, and guess what, Councillor Malcolm? Thriving high streets, better public spaces, good local jobs, greener neighbourhoods, and investment in the communities that need it most. That ambition runs right through this council plan. We are committed in ensuring regeneration is shaped with local people, not simply delivered around them. The plan commits to community-led regeneration, creating walkable neighbourhoods, investing in our town centres, supporting small businesses, and we have introduced the Community Infrastructure Levy, ensuring developers contribute directly to new community facilities. From March this year, that funding will support local priorities, with town teams helping decide how money is spent. We have also been recognised nationally, ranked amongst the top planning authorities in the country with a platinum rating, delivered by a strong team of women I am proud to now lead. This is a practical, ambitious plan that continues the work this administration has been delivering for many years while looking ahead to the future. It recognises that successful growth is growth that people can see, feel and benefit from in every part of our borough. Because growth is not just about buildings or numbers. It is about quality of life. It is about creating places where people can live well, feel connected and thrive. And this is exactly what this plan delivers. Thank you.
Councillor Keenan.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Let me take a moment to pay tribute to the emergency services who went above and beyond to keep members of the public safe after this weekend's horrific incident in Ealing Broadway. All our thoughts are with those affected. Our priority now is to work together to ensure our town centre is safe. On a less sombre note, it's a pleasure to make this speech as the first ever Liberal Democrat councillor for Ealing Broadway, now part of a 13-strong official opposition group. Let me take a moment as well to thank you, the outgoing councillors in my ward, Seema and Anthony, for their services over many years. I wish them well. Above all, though, thank you to the residents who placed their trust in me, many having never voted for my party before, but did so to ensure that Ealing Labour is properly held to account. This ward, in which we are all sitting, is the beating heart of our borough. It is fantastically varied, from the bustling Broadway to the quiet residential roads at the top of the hill. I can walk out of my front door and stumble across people speaking a dozen different languages from all across the world and of all ages. Diversity is Ealing's strength. And it goes without saying, too, for the thousands of doors that Mandy, Francesco and I knocked on, that there is an incredible diversity of thought here, too. Yes, one message stuck out time and time again. We heard that residents want a cleaner, safer and fairer Ealing. Therefore, I am proud that Ealing Liberal Democrats published a comprehensive local election manifesto with a plan to increase street cleaning, stop the nighttime closure of Acton Police Station front counter, and stop wasting taxpayers' money on poor procurement and start building genuinely affordable family homes. I suggest the Labour Cabinet studies our manifesto carefully. Feel free to pinch our ideas. Just remember to credit us. So, the council plan. There are some positives in the council plan, Madam Mayor. Section 5.3 plans for an Ealing Broadway Safer Streets scheme. For such a scheme to take flight, Ealing Broadway residents need to be placed at the heart of it, as change makers, not simply passengers. I say this knowing from those thousands of doorstep conversations that proper dialogue with residents is something the council desperately needs to improve upon. Lastly, I look forward to working across cross-party to improve Ealing and, of course, where necessary, calling out poor decision making. Thank you, Council, and thank you, Madam Mayor.
Councillor Kamnakbar.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. It's a real pleasure to be standing here at the beginning of a historic fifth term for Labour in Ealing. As Cabinet Member for Decent Living Incomes, I'm proud to play my part in delivering the ambition set out in our new council plan. Over the next 4 years, we will build an economy that is fairer, more prosperous and more connected, one where, wherever you live across our 7 towns, you have the opportunity to earn a decent living and to fulfill your potential. One of our key priorities is creating more good, well-paid jobs in Ealing and ensuring that local people have the skills to access those jobs. So this year, we'll open a new learning and skills hub right here in Percival House. We'll launch the West Tech Skills Hub in North Acton to support the growing life sciences sector and complete the Screen Industries Revealed Commission to strengthen our creative and digital economy. Madam Mayor, I remain incredibly proud of our leadership on the London living wage, because for this administration, fair work deserves fair pay. We will continue encouraging more employers to become accredited. We'll establish a living wage zone in North Acton and embed living wage principles within the OPDC Master Developer Procurement, ensuring that fair pay is at the heart of one of London's most significant regeneration programmes. Ealing is the highest performing outer London borough on the living wage, so we'll also seek external recognition for our campaign. Too many young people are not in employment, education or training. That's a national challenge, but one that we're determined to tackle here in Ealing. This year, we'll begin developing a borough-wide NEET reduction plan, building on our successful work experience programme and the Ealing Borough Apprenticeship Scheme, which I was delighted to launch just 2 weeks ago. Because together, these initiatives will develop local talent, they will support employers and open up opportunities for young people. We're equally ambitious for our high streets and town centres. We'll continue delivering our Ealing Economy After 6 p.m. strategy, making Ealing an even stronger destination for residents, businesses and visitors, while creating places where businesses can thrive, communities can come together, and our local economy can grow. Most of all, Madam Mayor, I look forward to seeing our residents better off, socially and financially, and living successful lives with a bright future right here in Ealing. Thank you.
Councillor Driscoll.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. It's a great opportunity to address the Chamber in this role of Cabinet Member for Healthy Equal Lives, and it's a very privileged to do that. And also thank you to all the new members who've made their contributions tonight. It's great to hear your contributions. I'd like to also make a special welcome to Councillor Whelan, who's a new member for Northfields, and my best wishes to Councillor Kim Nagpal, who's moved wards, and to have, with her Southall West has got a great champion there. I'd also share a little bit about my election. Quite strange. Anonymous leaflets, not very positive leaflets, but some of them were named. Thank you, Councillor Malcolm, for calling for my resignation. Perhaps the voters of Northfield just saw through the errors in the letter, which is yet to arrive at my email inbox. So maybe it was just a publicity stunt, but the voters of Northfield saw through that. So I welcome the choice that they made to return 3 Labour councillors. And I think caring and sharing are important. So I'll take up the challenge to look at the Liberal Democrat manifesto, where there's 23 words about adult social care, and 2 of those words are Liberal Democrat. That's 23 words more than in the Conservative manifesto that said it was fully costed. Fully costed manifesto that ignores one of the principal major service delivery programmes in the council and one of the most costly centres in the council, fully ignored. And I'm disappointed social inclusion was not part of the Green manifesto, who, again, no mention of adult social care. So we've got a challenge. We've got the largest restructuring of the NHS coming on. 10 years plan to make massive changes. Community-based, preventative work, expansion of the role of GP practices, and that aligns with our integrated neighbourhood approach, bringing services with social care, with police, with other actors, bringing them together to support our residents. The question was, can older residents live with dignity? That was presented tonight. Our whole process in adult social care is living with dignity. Councillor Ryan mentioned quite eloquently about the value of home. Staying and living at home and having purpose and being independent is about the outcomes we wish to deliver in adult social care. It's not meaningless, it's actually on the grounds. Outcomes and better quality healthcare and better quality of life living at home is our major outcome. We do that through a whole range of activities. We've improved our contact rate, we've improved our response rate in adult social care, we've got much better at that, we've got a proud record there. We will be continuing our work with co-production boards. I attended several this week. We will be looking at our health and wellbeing board and not making it just a talking shop with committee papers, value as that is, but, and opposition councillors were there at this, active workshops where we bring services together to look at the key determinants of health, the building blocks of health, part of our wellbeing strategy. Councillor Ford mentioned about inequalities, and that's fundamentally running through how we deliver services. So I welcome the council plan and I recommend it to the council. Thank you.
Members, we're approaching at 9:30. So I call on Councillor Mason to sum up the debate before we go to the vote.
I rise to request that we extend the guillotine.
I will need 15 members.
Thank you.
So this meeting will continue till 10 o'clock. Councillor Hanran.
Madam Mayor, I want to thank the residents of Ealing Broadway who placed their trust in me. Whether you voted for me, voted for another candidate, or did not vote at all, I will work hard to represent every resident in our ward. I would also like to express my sympathies to everyone affected by the tragic incident on Saturday. Our thoughts are with those who were injured, their families, and the emergency services who responded. Turning to the council plan, I want to begin by reflecting on the recent election. The election result should have been a wake-up call. Labour have retained control of this council, but it did so on around 30% of the borough-wide vote. 7 in 10 voters chose another party. Many residents were looking for change. They wanted fresh ideas, renewed ambition, and a council that listens. Yet when I read this council plan, I see more of the same. One question kept coming back to me as I read it. Where is the vision for Ealing Broadway? This is the heart of our borough. Residents from every ward come here to shop, work, access services, and travel. If we can't get the heart of our borough right, what message does that send about the rest of Ealing? Too many residents tell me they feel the Broadway has lost its pride. Shuttered shops, dirty pavements, litter, e-bikes left strewn across our streets. These are the things that residents see every day. Yet this plan offers no clear vision for turning that around. Where is the ambition to make Ealing Broadway one of London's leading town centres? Where is the strategy to support our businesses, attract investment, and restore civic pride? For a document that sets out the future of our borough, that is a serious omission. This should not be a party political issue. Every councillor in this chamber has a stake in the success of Ealing Broadway because every resident relies on it at some point during the year. I stand ready to work constructively with members from all sides of this chamber, alongside residents, businesses and community groups to develop a vision for Ealing Broadway. We may not always agree on how we get there, but surely we can all agree that our town centre should be cleaner, more welcoming, and somewhere we are all proud of. Ealing Broadway deserves better. It deserves ambition. It deserves pride. And above all, it deserves a plan. Thank you.
Councillor Weston.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. It's a real pleasure to rise this evening. Firstly, to congratulate you, Councillor Mohammed, on becoming the Mayor of the London Borough of Ealing. You've always been a passionate advocate for all communities across the borough, and I know that you'll be an outstanding first citizen. It's a genuine privilege to serve under your mayoralty, and I wish you every success for the year ahead. I also want to pay tribute to all members making their maiden speeches tonight, in particular to my ward colleague, the wonderful Councillor Shaira Karimi, and also to Councillor Ford, who spoke so eloquently about tackling health inequalities in the borough. This evening, we're debating our new council plan, Values in Action. It's much more than a list of priorities. It's a statement about the kind of borough we want to continue to build over the next 4 years. A borough where opportunity is shared fairly, where communities are empowered, and where everyone has the chance not just to live, but to thrive. As chair of our health scrutiny panel, I was particularly pleased to see health placed at the heart of the plan. Too often we think of health purely in terms of hospitals or GP appointments. Of course, those services are essential, but we know that the biggest influences on our health are found outside of the NHS. Health is shaped by whether someone can afford healthy food, whether they have a safe and secure home, whether they feel connected to their neighbours, whether they can find work, and whether they can have access to green spaces and community activities. That's why I welcome the council plan's commitment to enable every person to live a healthy and happy life and end the unfair inequalities that hold too many people back. Its focus on neighbourhood health teams, tackling health inequalities and building stronger communities recognises that prevention is just as important as treatment. We can already see what that looks like in practice with the launch of the Gurnell Community Grocery Initiative in Pitshanger. It's much more than somewhere to buy affordable food. It's a place where people can seek advice, meet others, volunteer, learn new skills, and become part of a supportive community. That is exactly the sort of preventative, community-led initiative that improves health, reduces loneliness, and strengthens resilience. And I would like to put on record my thanks to Gurnell resident Mark Tate, who has been a driving force behind the project. What I particularly like about this council plan is that it understands that none of these ambitions stand alone. Strong communities support better health. Good housing improves well-being.
Councillor, time.
Thank you very much, Madam Mayor. I'm proud to support this council plan, and I look forward to seeing these values translated into action for residents across all of our 7 towns. Thank you.
Councillor Baines.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. The past few months have made me reflect while speaking to people, whether on the school run, with parents, or attending roving surgeries with our MP, coffee mornings with residents, or a friendly chat with neighbours. I find myself feeling something a lot of people might resonate with, worried about the future. This is my home. I was born here. Yes, I'm the child of migrants, as many of us in the borough are, but Ealing is my home. Why should any of us have to feel like we don't belong? As a parent, I worry about the kind of future we're building for our children. I know I'm not alone in that. Families from all sorts of backgrounds are asking the same questions. Recent election results tell us that people are anxious, some frustrated, some looking for someone to blame. During this reflection, I was reminded of the 50-year anniversary since the murder of Gurdeep Singh Jagged, an 18-year-old Sikh boy from Southall killed simply because of who he was. And the really sad thing is that the language used back then, the idea that migrants and minority communities were somehow to blame for society's problems, is the language we are hearing today. We saw similar injustices with Ricky Reel and Stephen Lawrence families who had to fight years just to get justice for their loved ones deserved. And we should be clear, division doesn't just appear from nowhere. It's encouraged and exploited by people who see political gain in making us afraid. I also want to pay my respects to Henry Nowak and his family. Like many people across Ealing, and particularly within the Sikh community, I was horrified by what happened. But the actions of one person should not become an excuse to condemn another entire community. We saw people on the far right trying to do exactly that, and we must reject it. If history teaches us anything, it's this. When communities are turned against each other, everybody loses. Madam Mayor, the answer to division is not more division. Despite all the noise, despite all the attempts to set people against each other, I am proud to stand here tonight as Labour councillor and proud of our values and action plan that puts tackling inequality at the right heart of what we do. The answer is fairness, opportunity, and bringing people together. That's exactly what our values in action plan is about. It recognises that inequality isn't just about money, it's about whether a child gets a fair start in life, whether a family can afford a decent home, whether someone can get a good job, whether an older resident feels connected rather than forgotten. It's about making sure nobody gets left behind. After years of conservative austerity, years of public services being stretched and inequalities getting wider, Labour in Ealing is still investing in communities and people. That's why I'm proud to support this plan, proud of our borough, proud of our diverse communities, and proud that in Ealing we keep choosing fairness, opportunity and unity over division. Thank you.
Councillor Walkie.
Madam Mayor, this is an odd plan. There are some fantastically ambitious values and missions, but they're supported by actions that will not fulfill them. Take Mission 3, ensuring safe and affordable homes for everyone. Of course, the Green Group agrees. I'm sure everybody does, even the Conservatives. But will these actions reduce the rents to below 30% of people's incomes without overcrowding? Will they help shared owners trapped by short leasehold or crippling service charges? Will they reduce lengthening mortgage terms and unstable rises in private debt? Will they provide the huge quantity of social homes needed? And nationally, the Greens would say that is 150,000 a year in climate-resilient buildings which will last. Hanwell Broadway residents look at this mission and then look around. In West Ealing, they see affordable flats abandoned or left unbuilt in vacant, unviable lots. They see a variety of co-living developments. The rooms will be 21 square metres, something the size of that, including the ensuite and kitchenette. They typically cost $1,400 a month, with spaces shared with up to 200 strangers. Are these affordable, safe homes for families and young people? Will they build community? On the edge of Hanwell, Old Hanwell, we see a proposed social housing development. Ex-councillor and Cabinet Minister Newstub called the proposal a speculative, poorly designed tower that has no business being there. We agree. Residents would like well-designed social homes, or maybe the restoration of the industrial space that could be supporting SMEs and local employment. Residents have good ideas, but will the council offer them real control over their neighbourhoods and full participation in local decision-making, as the plan says? Or will it take ex-councillor and cabinet member Manro's line? It's a market decision. And this is the thing. It's not the individual actions that are bad. They're good, lots of good ones, though some could be more measurable, and what the hell are AI-driven green skills? It's just that they can never meet the missions and values because they're essentially outside the council's control. They put unfair expectations on officers and it breeds the cynicism in politics we have all met on the doorstep. That's why we approached voters with genuine honesty and humility. We said we'd work hard, and we will, to help them, but we told them the limitations. And that's what we will do. Thank you very much.
Councillor Sanders.
Madam Mayor, I'm honoured to stand before you as a new councillor for Hanger Hill Ward. Having started out on this journey 6 years ago, working with Councillor Simos and later on with Councillor Oxley, I'd like to thank them for their support over the years, which has seen Hanger Hill Ward go from 3 Conservative councillors to 3 Liberal Democrats. I would like to take this opportunity also to congratulate all the new councillors in the chamber today post the local elections. Well done. As in normal on these occasions, you reflect how you got into this position today. In 2 words, ward forums. That's what got me into local politics, the need for communities to be heard. Listen and engage is what I've discovered from door knocking on thousands of doors in the last 6 years. Residents want you to represent their community and pass on their issues onto council officers in a timely manner. So which issues come up the most on the doorstep? First issue is fly tipping and dirty streets. Unfortunately, this is a borough-wide issue, with fly tipping incidents up 51% in 24-25. Ealing ranked 6th highest in London and 7th out of 294 local authorities in Ealing. So yeah, I would like to see more funding for community skips in the council plan. Ealing may have increased the volume and price of fines. Many residents question, why has a recycling centre been closed? Why are there reduced opening hours for the Greenford site? And why is a booking system still in place post-COVID? So I am pleased to see item 3.2 in the plan, talking about HMOs and the need for more enforcement to tackle non-compliant landlords and reducing illegal accommodation. As we walk the streets of Hanger Hill, we can notice a linkage between illegal accommodation and fly tipping sites. So in Hanger Hill, I have to mention air pollution, as the ward ranks 3 out of 24 in Ealing for pollution levels. And we have the privilege of talking to TfL about the Hanger Lane gyratory roundabout. So I would much like to see traffic audits to be improved, and the flow of traffic and reducing of idling times would be much appreciated. A key issue on the doorstep is crime, be it in the house or streets. So I would like to see more promotion of Met Engage and police ward panel meetings, so it's easier to report crime, so that more resources can be provided in a timely manner. So to finish, Ealing Council track record on engagement with its residents. Residents mention so many times that they ring the council number or email and receive no response. So let's remember, Ealing Council has a monopoly in supplying council service to its residents. So acceptable service levels in responding to residents must be our priority. Thank you, Madam Mayor.
Councillor Moore.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I'm honoured to rise for the first time as a councillor for North Greenford, and I thank my residents for placing their faith in me to deliver what they need over the next few years. I'll start off by saying that the council plan should provide clarity, measurable commitments, and a realistic pathway to improvement. Unfortunately, this document does not fully meet that standard. It does not reflect the issues residents raise with me, and it does not confront the practical realities facing neighbourhoods across our borough. One of the most striking omissions, and one that residents raise constantly, is the absence of any meaningful strategy to tackle fly tipping. Fly tipping is not a minor irritation, it is a daily visible failure of environmental management. From our parks, alleyways, residential roads, all are affected, yet Ealing Labour's plan contains no clear targets, no enforcement commitment, and no investment strategy. A plan that claims to build pride in place cannot ignore the environmental crimes residents see every day. Equally concerning is the complete lack of any serious policy addressing harmful HMO clustering. In North Greenford and across Ealing, residents are dealing with overcrowding, noise, parking pressure, waste issues, and in some cases harassment linked to poorly managed HMOs. These are not isolated incidents. They are patterns reshaping communities, yet Ealing Labour's plan does not seriously address HMOs at all. It does not acknowledge the scale of the problem, it does not outline any actions, and it does not offer any commitment to protect neighbourhoods from harmful clustering. For a borough under real pressure, this omission is significant. The plan also avoids confronting antisocial behaviour, which continues to undermine safety and confidence in this council chamber. Residents want action on street harassment, intimidation, drug-related activity, and nuisance behaviour. Instead, this plan offers broad statements about safer communities without any operational detail. There is no ASB strategy, no investment plan, and no measurable outcomes. Residents want a council that focuses on the fundamentals: clean and safe streets, responsible housing management, enforcement that works, and neighbourhoods that feel cared for. Madam Mayor, I'll be voting against this council plan because this administration must address the omissions it has left out. Fly tipping, harmful HMO clustering, antisocial behaviour, and the everyday issues residents raise with us cannot be ignored. Until these gaps are confronted directly and transparently, this plan cannot meet the needs of my residents in North Greenford and for the people of Ealing. Thank you.
Councillor Hirsch.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Crime remains one of the main concerns for our residents. With ever decreasing access to police stations, the council needs to do more. As we are at the start of the ASB Awareness Week, one sad fact which was recently published caught my attention. Violence against women and girls during and after football matches increases by about a third. So our focus needs to remain high. For example, we need to make sure all our pubs and restaurant staff are trained and informed on how to keep women and girls safe, not just volunteers. It might be a good idea to look at how the Liberal Democrat-run council in Kingston has developed an award-winning strategy which was co-produced with survivors of abuse. As stated in the plan, alleyways are often places of crime, ASB and fly tipping. Gating them is important, but be aware that simple consultations might not do, as some residents have interests of keeping them open for illegal businesses, access to illegal habitation. I'm happy to make a specific example to the portfolio holder later. I'm pleased to see some focus on the borough's culture programme. While there are lots of small groups all across the borough, we also need to see high-profile events and institutions. Big events like the Summer Festival in Ealing Broadway or Handball Hootie need to be better managed to keep the unwanted side effects of noise pollution, ASB, litters, etc. to a minimum. Quite a few sports facilities are in the planning stage, like Gurnell, but it will take years before they come into use. Can we make sure that existing facilities are not forgotten, such as the Acton swimming pool, where we had several complaints about access for wheelchair users and non-functioning toilet, amongst others? There has been a mention of accessible transport, but where are the pickup base exclusivity for disabled people in front of our transport hubs? I was trying to collect my disabled brother-in-law from Ealing Broadway station, but there is only a single general stopping bay in front, which constantly is blocked with deliveries, post office vans and the general public. What a nightmare. This really needs to change urgently and it needs to include all of our important transport hubs. While we have finally public access to Percival House again, it is not what many residents were hoping for, which was to talk to somebody, a person, to solve their issues. The response rates to emails and phone calls remains as a frequent complaint to the councillors, and we have all seen them. So, Madam Mayor, room for improvement, but rest assured the Liberal Democrats will keep at the case. Thank you very much.
Councillor Kubica.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Firstly, I want to start by saying it's a great honour to be standing in this chamber, particularly as a young person. And I'm proud and grateful to represent Hamwell Broadway Ward as part of Ealing's first ever Green Group. I also want to congratulate our new colleague, Councillor van der Geer, on her election this week in North Acton, and commiserate the other parties on a hard-fought campaign, particularly in the heat last week. But today I want to expand a bit on my colleague, Councillor Wellesby's point about Mission 5 in the Council Plan, which is, quote, take decisive action to tackle the climate emergency and keep our streets clean and our roads clear. Those of us that were involved in the peak of the UK climate movement around 2018-2019 will remember that the demand was for governments to do what they can to keep global warming below 1.5 degrees Celsius above pre-industrial levels to limit the deadliest effects of the climate crisis. A figure that came straight from the Paris Agreement in 2015. But we are getting dangerously close to exceeding that 1.5 degree limit already. On a local level, now is the time for mitigation and for proactive measures to keep Ealing's residents safe in extreme weather. Last week was the hottest June day in recorded history in the UK, and heat waves like the one we've just experienced will only get worse. In 2019, Ealing Council formally declared a climate emergency, and the Council's own climate adaptation and resilience strategy says, quote, the changing climate is already having significant impact on health and well-being. The London Ambulance Service had over 53,000 calls last week, its busiest ever week, and more than during the peak of the COVID-19 pandemic. We as a council have to act now to protect Ealing residents, particularly vulnerable residents who will be the worst affected, and make our borough resilient against extreme weather. We need a clear strategy as soon as possible, and this council plan does not provide that, and nor does the delivery plan for the coming year. I note that point 5.6 of the delivery plan says, quote, adopt a borough-wide climate adaptation and resilience plan tackling heat, flooding and poor housing, and protect high-risk streets and vulnerable residents, which the Green Group welcomes, but the delivery plan needs specific and measurable commitments. We are facing a global emergency on an unprecedented scale, and this plan simply does not give it the attention it deserves. And just to recap, Mission 5 says, quote, take decisive action to tackle the climate emergency and keep our streets clean and our roads clear. And while keeping streets clean and roads clear are both very real issues affecting Ealing residents, and they absolutely should be in the plan, they pale in comparison to the emergency that we're facing. This crisis will reach across all areas, from housing to green spaces to biodiversity to local services, and it should be given the attention it deserves in this plan. Climate resilience should be baked into every single aspect of the council's work. And so while there are some laudable aspects of the plan, it simply does not go far enough on climate resilience. And for that reason, as well as the problems that my Green colleagues have raised, I cannot support this plan. Thank you, Madam Mayor.
Members, we're now approaching 10 o'clock, so I will call Councillor Mason to sum up the debate before we go to vote.
Thank you, Madam Mayor, and can I start by congratulating all 16 councillors who have given their first time speeches today. I think what's clear is, whilst I won't respond to each and every one, that would take me, I think, all evening, we will certainly have some enlightening debates in the 4 years ahead. I won't equally, Madam Mayor, read the action plan to the Chamber. I think probably a good number of councillors could well have done with reading the reports, and it's probably a good piece of advice for you in the 4 years ahead, that often you will need to read the documents that are in front of you in order to both comprehend and contribute to the debate in the full knowledge of what they contain. But of course, it will be a route map. It will be a route map for the discussions that we will have in the 4 years hence, because that's ultimately what this council plan is about. It's about taking the endorsed manifesto, the manifesto that was voted on by the people of Ealing, into a plan over the next 4 years that will see us deliver each and every one of the commitments that we have made, just as we did with the previous administration, just as we took all of those achievements to the people of Ealing for them to have endorsed us. But I will, characteristically, Madam Mayor, respond to a few points, because Councillor Malcolm indeed is right. 4 years ago, I warned him that the Liberal Democrats were indeed the third party of Ealing. They received less votes than the Conservatives, and the Conservatives had less seats as a consequence. Of course, the funny reality of this particular election, Madam Mayor, is that the Liberal Democrats are no longer
the third party in this borough. They are now the fourth. They are the fourth borough, Madam Mayor, because it seems that the Liberal Boys Club are doing their absolute level best to cosplay at being Conservatives. And I have to say, from some of the contributions, both from the Conservatives and the Liberal Democrats, it seems that we're going to repeat a theme, it seems, of the next 4 years, as we did in the last, which is we're going to be concentrating, as the Labour Party, on the material challenges that our residents face, of low incomes, of poor quality housing, and of a climate emergency that requires significant action. That's what we're going to spend our 4 years focusing on, and we're going to be delivering on behalf of all residents in this borough. And what it appears that we will have, once more, is a fight between the yellows and the blues, who only comprehend life in W4 and W5. And whilst those towns are great and wonderful, I encourage each and every one of you to experience life in Southall, to go to Northolt, experience Greenford, see the wonders of Acton, go to Perivale, go to Hanwell. Because there you will find a borough that is diverse in nature, radical in their views, that has elected this 4 years a plural number of councillors to work in their interests. So I welcome the entreaties of Councillor Gallant on Your Voice or Town. Wonderful, Councillor Gallant. And I have to say, I look forward to more whoop-de-doo speeches from you two. And I welcome the entreaties of other members of the opposition who have highlighted things that they do agree in the council plan. There are things that we will agree on. There are things that we will vehemently disagree on. But we will do it in the service of the borough, and we will do it over the next 4 years, knowing that whilst we might come to this chamber with different political ideologies and different political parties, each and every one of us are here because we believe that changing the lives of our residents for the better is a fundamental principle of public service. We will continue to do that as an administration, and we will work with anybody who wishes to work with us. Madam Mayor, thank you.
Members, we have heard the debate and now we'll go to vote on the
Madam
council
Mayor, recorded
plan.
vote, please. Can we have a recorded vote, please, Madam?
Well, it says, haven't started yet. So you're going to have to stand up again. All in favour? All those in favour? Apologies. Recording vote.
Councillor Arwall. Councillor Abbasi. Councillor M. Ahmed. Councillor S. Ahmed.
For.
Councillor Ajay. Councillor P. Anand. Councillor J. Anand. Councillor Baclini.
4.
Councillor Bailey. Councillor Baines. Councillor Brett.
4.
Councillor Deer. Councillor Dinser. Councillor Donnelly. Councillor Douglas. Councillor Driscoll. Councillor Ford. Councillor Haley. Councillor Hamidi. Councillor Hashani. Councillor Johnson.
Against for Hussam, sorry.
No, not yet. Councillor Hashani. Councillor Johnson.
4.
Councillor Karimi. Councillor Cordier. Councillor Kamaljit Kaur-Nagpal. Councillor Kim Kaur-Nagpal. Councillor Kelly.
4.
Councillor Kingston. Councillor Coley. Councillor Mahmood. Councillor D. Martin. Councillor Mason. Councillor Moffat.
4.
Councillor Mohammed.
Abstain.
Councillor Mohan. Councillor Nassimi. Councillor Owen. Councillor Rice. Councillor Ryan. Councillor Sangira. Councillor Sharma. Councillor Taylor. Councillor Elwall. Councillor Wesson.
4.
Councillor Whelan. Councillor Ball. Councillor Francis.
Against.
Councillor Hirsch. Councillor Keenan.
Against.
Councillor Malcolm.
Against.
Councillor Maximova.
Against.
Councillor Mellor.
Against.
Councillor Oxley. Councillor Sanders.
Against.
Councillor Singh. Councillor Steed. Councillor Hanrahan.
Against.
Councillor Gallant.
Against.
Councillor McLaughlin.
Against.
Councillor Moore.
Against.
Councillor Roy.
Against.
Councillor Al-Harashe.
Against.
Councillor Kubica.
Against.
Councillor Van der Geer.
Against.
Councillor Walkley.
Against.
Councillor Wellesby.
Against.
Councillor J. Martin.
No abstentions. Any abstention?
Yeah. Votes is carried. So the council plan is therefore carried and the meeting is now closed. Thank you, everyone. We can now go upstairs and have refreshments.